Chapter 12-18. Moon Spirit and Heaven's Fate left. Li Zhu and King Zhen disappeared. The situation on the battlefield was becoming more and more advantageous for the humans. Long Bian couldn't help but send a voice transmission. King Wu, are we going to seize the 9 Emperor Seals now? This was a rare opportunity. On the human side, including him, that was a total of 3 Heavenly King stage powerhouses. Zhang Tao waved his hand lightly, indicating that he was not going to fight for it. On the human's side, it was not easy to achieve this situation. If it was Fang Ping, this fellow might have the urge to snatch it. Old Zhang still had to be more stable. Snatching the 9 Emperor Seals might cause those people to unite again. At this moment, it was a good thing not to fight. Although the human race was not afraid of war, every time they fought, they had to pay a price. So many people died at the peak, and old Zhang was also pained. They were all brought in by him. He wanted to bring someone out. In the end, only a few Heavenly King powerhouses were left. Since Zhang Tao didn't want to fight, Long Bian naturally wouldn't say anything. At this time, no one paid attention to the clamoring. This guy's request was too excessive, but Zhang Tao's request. At this moment, Tian Kuei also felt the immense pressure. Although only the Sea Guardian was dealing with him, this guy was too powerful. If not for the 4 sages teaming up with him, he might not have been able to withstand such pressure. Very soon, Tian Kuei made a decision and shouted, "King Wu, I'll give you a saint's token. Your human race can stall monarchs Qian and Kuan for a while." Seeing him agree, Zhang Tao smiled and said, "How about 2? Tian Kuei almost cursed out loud. He was already under immense pressure, and now that one of the 4 saints had lost a saint's writ, it had already affected him somewhat. If he were to take away someone else's, how could he resist the sea calming envoy? Only 1. Otherwise, don't even think about it. You. Old Zhang sighed and said, "You're not generous enough when you make a move. Forget it, 1 is 1. Oldly, I'll leave Qiankuan and Qiankuan to you." The Heavenly King Zhen Wang's expression was ugly. He snorted and did not say anything. King Qian and King Kuan remained silent. This time, there was a high probability that they would not be able to obtain the 9 Emperor Seals. Because they were enemies with the human race, even if the human race couldn't get it themselves, they wouldn't give it to them. As for the Guardian of the Sea, the probability of getting him was not high. He was simply too strong. Fang Ping had so many saint tokens and a few Heavenly King seals. Whoever obtained the 9 Emperor's seals would have their eyes on Fang Ping. It was fine if they were given to the Sky Chief, but if they were given to the Sea Guardian, then Fang Ping would be in great danger. A sage token not only allowed the Heaven-Suppressing King to hold back the 2 experts, but it also allowed the Heaven-Suppressing King to hold back the 2 experts. Right at this moment, Zhang Tao stepped out and smiled. "I'll take it myself, lest you throw it out and someone else snatches it." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Tao's qi and blood surged as he punched out. In front of him, Guardian C's expression changed as he turned around and punched out. Zhang Tao quickly dodged and cursed, "Sea Guardian, are you determined to be the enemy of the human clan? I didn't provoke you. I came to take the saint's token, but you actually attacked me?" Envoy Zhenhai's face was cold. "Making trouble?" Yes, Zhang Tao was here to cause trouble. Zhang Tao swore, but he sneered in his heart. Envoy Zhenhai had tangled with Heavenly King Zhen and almost caused the human clan to suffer a great loss. How could he let this guy get the 9 Emperor Seals so easily? He would never give it to Tian Kuei. Seeing Zhang Tao's action, Tian Kuei, who was a little unhappy earlier, changed his expression slightly, revealing a faint hint of joy. This was good. If Zhang Tao wanted to make trouble and get involved, it was worth giving him the saint's token. In the next moment, Tian Kuei let out a low roar. A saint's token shot out instantly, heading straight for Zhang Tao. Zhang Tao laughed heartily, took the saint's token, and punched out again, laughing. "Tian Kuei, you and I haven't sparred before. How about we spar once? Having said that, his vitality surged, and he attacked Envoy Jinhai together with Tian Kuei. Envoy Jinhai's anger rose. He turned around and was about to attack him ruthlessly. Just as he was about to attack, Zhang Tao fled quickly. On the other side, dragon transformation had also revealed its true form, sweeping its tail, shaking the void. The two heavenly kings were causing trouble. Even if Envoy Jinhai was powerful, he was a little annoyed at this moment. Zhang Tao did not want to tangle with him. If he gave him a blow, he would run away immediately. How could he fight? On the other side, Hong Yu, who had not left yet, smiled and took a step forward. As soon as he took a step, Zhang Tao suddenly said, "Chaotic Heavenly King, I heard that when the Monster Emperor was born, you fled to the Tomb of Heaven." The Monster Emperor was Hong Yu in disguise. Do you have a grudge against each other? Confused, Chaotic glanced at Hong Yu. He really did not know about this. Why did he flee to the Tomb of Heaven back then? It was not because of Heavenly Hound's coercion, but because he was chaotic. An elite of the chaotic era. When the Earth Emperor God dynasty was established, in order to quell the chaos, he was the first to be killed. If he did not die, how could the three realms be pacified? Back then, he was only a heavenly king who had not broken through 7. The Earth Emperor God dynasty sent 5 sages to kill him. Not only that, when he heard that the earthly sovereign was going to suppress him personally, although he was not afraid of anything, he knew how terrifying an emperor was. That was why he fled to the 3 realms and went to the Tomb of Heaven. Hong Yu in disguise? Chaotic looked at Hong Yu. Hong Yu felt a headache coming on. He said softly, "King Wu, those are just rumors. How can you take it seriously? You're the earthly sovereign?" Chaotic ignored him. He stared at him for a while, then at the 2 kings. He seemed to recall something. "You too? The 2 fellows who reared animals back then?" The 2 kings did not say a word. They did not look too good. The master of the demon palace in the past was now just a pet, a beast, and a coachman in everyone's mouth. Were they coachmen? Chaotic recognized the 2 kings. The next moment, he looked at Hong Yu and scolded, "It's you, grandson? Damn it, it was you who scared me back then? I'll kill you." Rumble. Chaotic attacked. How dare Hong Yu scare him back then? He had no choice but to flee. In the Tomb of Heaven, he had suffered countless hardships before he could break through 7 heavenly kings. Chaotic. This was a blood feud. Hong Yu heaved a long sigh, feeling extremely helpless. The 2 kings quickly joined forces to stop him. Hong Yu did not fight. He retreated slowly, cursing inwardly. King Wu, Heavenly King Garrison, Fong Ping, none of them were good people. He had only made a slight move earlier and that bastard King Wu had thrown Chaotic at him. Chaotic was not afraid of trouble, which made his head hurt even more. Zhang Tao chuckled. "Can I say that I don't have Fong Ping? Look, wasn't it just a few words and Luolan went to hit Hong Yu?" The current situation was in everyone's interest. Chaotic attacked Hong Yu. He caused trouble for the Sea Messenger, and the Heavenly King suppressed the 2 kings. Zhang Tao suddenly felt that the asking price was too low. He said immediately, "Tian Kuei, isn't it too cheap to exchange a saint token for a 9 Emperor seal? 4 heavenly kings are fighting for you, and you're only offering a saint token?" Tian Kuei's expression changed. The next moment, he growled, "If I leave this place safely, I'll give you another saint token and King Wu? Alright, I'll be waiting." As Zhang Tao spoke, he caused trouble again. He threw a punch. He did not attack the Sea Messenger directly, but shook the area, making the Sea Messenger feel threatened. Sometimes, threats were more effective than direct attack. The Sea Messenger was a little aggrieved. He looked at the 2 kings and snorted in his heart. Both of them did not want him to take it either. It was because he was too strong. When Tian Kuei was injured, the 2 kings had a chance to take it back. Now that it was in his hands, the chances were slim. If that was the case, since they could not get it now, they could not let the sea messenger take it away. The sea messenger sighed in his heart. Perhaps he should not have bothered the heavenly king earlier. Otherwise, he might have been able to get the 9 Emperor seal. Now, it seemed like the chances were slim. Everyone started fighting again. Luan and Hong Yu were getting further and further away from each other. Hong Yu did not want to be entangled with him, but there was nothing he could do when he encountered Luan. Luan chased after him, howling. Although the 2 kings had the combat strength of a heavenly king when they joined forces, they were heavenly kings who could defeat 6 heavenly kings. Against Luan, who could defeat 7 heavenly kings, both of them were beaten to a pulp. Hong Yu had no choice but to catch them and start a big chase. In front, Hong Yu grabbed the 2 kings and escaped. Behind him, Luan sped up and chased after them, cursing incessantly. "Grandson, don't run! How dare you pretend to be an earthly sovereign to scare me? I'll kill you today. Don't run if you have the guts." I was wondering why the earthly sovereign was so cowardly back then. He killed a heavenly king but did not kill him with 1 strike. He even sent a few trashy sages to kill me. It's all your fault, grandson. Don't run. Even if I don't kill you today, I'll break all your bones. Oh right, since you can pretend to be an earthly sovereign, you must know where he is. Is your father dead? If he's dead, lend me his corpse and I'll let you go. Luan's eyes lit up. That's right, I just remembered. The corpse of an emperor. If it was made into a divine weapon, how powerful would it be? Hong Yu, don't even think of running. In front, Hong Yu's expression kept changing. It was time to go out. If he didn't, this place was only so big. This lunatic kept chasing him. Was he going to have to listen to him cursing from behind? Just as he was enjoying cursing, a sword aura came from behind him. The sword sent him flying for dozens of miles. On the other side, King Kuan's expression was ugly. The earthly sovereign was also his father. That bastard Luan would die sooner or later. "All right, you 2 brothers are ganging up to bully me, aren't you?" Luan roared. "Just you wait. When I get out this time, I'll find the heroes of the 72 paths and fight you 2 brothers to the end." King Kuan and Hong Yu had a headache. The heroes of the 72 paths were a group of robbers and bandits who wanted to see the world in chaos. Luan was the leader of the bandit. However, during the chaos, many of them were killed. When the earthly Emperor God dynasty was established, to quell the chaos, these people were the first to bear the brunt. Most of them were killed. Only a few of them were still alive. Back then, their strengths varied. The weaker ones were true gods and the stronger ones were saints. They did not care too much. The key was that since Luan had said so, he might really fight them to the end. Hong Yu pretended not to hear him. He sped up and stepped into the void. His speed soared, increasing the distance between them once again. It was better to stay away from these lunatics. Rumble! At this moment, Fong Ping was also refining the saint tokens. Actually, Fong Ping had refined most of the 12 saint tokens previously. However, this time, Fong Ping's sacrificial refined them again. Refining 12 holy weapons alone was not something that could be done easily. Fong Ping had a lot of origin qi. At this moment, he was constantly consuming and replenishing it. That was why he could achieve this. Otherwise, the others would not find it difficult to control one holy weapon. The main reason was that they could not take it. After refining the 12 saint tokens deeply, Fong Ping's source world expanded slightly. However, it was not too big. Fong Ping did not care about the consumption of origin qi now. Endless origin qi surged into the source world, expanding it. In the small world, Old Zhang and the others did not open the way now. They had nothing to do. Fong Ping had chased them away to help fill the sea and make land. His small world was similar to the island in the sea. It was still very small now. With help, the speed would be faster. I can't let you guys be idle. I don't need you to open the way, but making land is not a problem. When Fong Ping had sacrificial refined the 12 saint tokens again, the diameter of Fong Ping's source world had also expanded slightly. Soon, Fong Ping began to refine the Heavenly King Seal. Among the 3 Heavenly King Seals, King Sun's should be the easiest to refine. King Sun was dead. At this moment, the Heavenly King Seal was already ownerless. As for the other 2, there might still be a struggle. This was Fong Ping's first time refining the Heavenly King Seal. In the source world, the gigantic King Sun's seal trembled continuously as if it wanted to fly out of the source world. Fong Ping forcefully suppressed it, constantly consuming origin chi to refine it. Golden brilliance flickered continuously on the King Sun seal. As Fong Ping refined it, the effect of the Heavenly King Seal was indeed incomparable to the Saint tokens. As the King Sun seal radiated brilliance, the source world was constantly expanding at a speed visible to the naked eye. The darkness around the world was squeezed out by the golden brilliance. As for the space that was squeezed out, Fong Ping could use origin chi to make land. The Heavenly King Seal and Saint tokens could not directly help in the expansion of the source world, but they could squeeze out the darkness. This was the greatest help that the Saint tokens and Heavenly King Seal brought to Fong Ping. Otherwise, if he were to open it up himself, he could only be like a cat, grinding and squeezing out the darkness bit by bit. The speed of breaking through the darkness would be extremely slow. As the King Sun seal was refined, the source world roared continuously. The big golden seal, surrounded by the 12 saint tokens, began to reflect the entire small world. As for Fong Ping, it was his first time refining the Heavenly King Seal. After observing it for a while, he seemed to have noticed something different. At this moment, Fong Ping really felt different. He saw it. He saw some images flickering on the King Sun seal. Mountains, rivers, seas. Not only that, he also saw some things. His source world was also changing. Previously, the source world was just a piece of flat land. The place was not big, and there were too many cities on it. They were very, very small. One was Sun City, the other was MCMAU. Later on, after adding the origin water, there was an additional lake in this place. Other than these, there was nothing else. However, at this moment, it seemed to be different. He saw the ground bulging. As the King Sun seal shone, it seemed like something was sprinkling on the ground, and the ground seemed to be forming mountains and rivers. Not only that, at this moment, the 4 fat babies suddenly flew towards the King Sun seal excitedly. Fong Ping did not stop them, but watched. The 4 fat babies circled around the King Sun seal, flying and dancing, as if they were very happy. On the King Sun seal, some substances also seeped out, flying towards the 4 little babies. Fong Ping looked carefully. After a while, he muttered to himself uncertainly, "Origin water?" Things like the 9 Emperors seal and the Heavenly King seal were said to be made from many treasures, among which were things like origin soil and origin water. At this moment, the King Sun seal seemed to have these substances seeping out. The 4 fat babies were absorbing something. Their previously somewhat transparent bodies seemed to be slowly solidifying at this moment. This, Fong Ping murmured, recreating the world? Source world. At this moment, a small mountain had formed in his source world, and a mini peak had appeared. In the next moment, the King Sun seal suddenly fell into the peak. With a rumble, the King Sun seal disappeared, but Fong Ping felt that it had entered the bottom of the peak. At this moment, the peak was becoming more and more stable, showing some signs of materialization. In all 4 directions, the darkness was also pushed far away. The shadows of old Zhang, one by one, with the origin energy masses, began to fill in the empty areas, expanding the source world. Fong Ping frowned, as if he had sensed many things. The 9 Emperors seal was very special. This divine weapon that was disassembled was not forged by the Forging God Envoy. The Forging God Envoy said that this thing was a treasure. Fong Ping did not know what the 9 Emperors 4 Emperors had used to forge this divine weapon, and what was their purpose? Could it be that they had already found some direction and knew some problems back then, so the Nine Emperors' seal was actually to deal with the problem of the source? Fong Ping could not care less. At this moment, his source world expanded rapidly, and was almost close to a diameter of 300 meters. However, Fong Ping frowned. The consumption of origin energy was too much. This was a circle. The more it expanded outwards, the same expansion of the diameter of 1 meter, the consumption of origin energy was completely different. According to the calculation of the area of Fong Ping's world that had expanded to a diameter of 1 meter was much larger than before. And all these needed to be supplemented and filled with origin energy. Fong Ping was helpless. Previously, he thought that the Ash Cat's world that was less than 1,000 meters was not considered big, but now he could understand. Don't look at his current world that was close to a diameter of 300 meters, compared to the Ash Cat's area, the difference was too big. The Ash Cat's area was almost 770,000 square meters, while Fong Ping's was only about 70,000 square meters. One had a diameter of 990 meters, the other was close to 300 meters. There was only a difference of about 3 times. But the area, that was a difference of 10 times. The later it is, the more origin energy is consumed. In these tens of thousands of years, the Ash Cat has probably produced a lot of origin energy, but this cat is too lazy, and it doesn't work hard to absorb the origin energy of the source universe. No wonder it is progressing slower and slower. Fong Ping shook his head, but he also knew the difficulty. If the system did not provide him with a large amount of origin energy, he would not be able to take this path. The consumption was too high. Even if he produced 10,000 clouds origin energy in a year, which was considered a lot, it was only worth 1 billion wealth points. 100 billion wealth points of origin energy, he would need to spend 100 years to cultivate hard to get back. He would also need to cultivate day and night, not go to battle, and not do other things to consume it. Ordinary emperor-level martial artists would need at least 1,000 years or more to accumulate about 100 billion wealth points of origin energy. However, if he took this path, would he still be considered emperor-level? Perhaps the speed of producing origin energy would be even slower. At that time, it would not be strange for 10,000 years to produce so much origin energy. This path doesn't seem suitable for others to take, Fong Ping said to himself. Others did not have so much origin energy to expand the source world, not to mention anything else. The key was that their lifespans were not that long, and not everyone was a Ash Cat. Therefore, this path could only be taken by Fong Ping now. Although the path of beginner martial is different for everyone, it is still suitable for inheritance. The path of origin is also suitable for everyone to develop. But the path I'm taking now is actually not suitable for others. If that's the case, this is actually not considered a new path? Fong Ping said to himself. A path had to be suitable for popularization, only then could it be considered as a true path. He had also heard from the God-forging envoy that a new path might be born in this era. Fong Ping had thought that the path he and the Ash Cat were taking was perfect, combining the advantages of beginner martial and origin. In the end, the mighty power became one. But now, thinking about it carefully, this path was actually more difficult to take. It's better not to think about these. It's enough for me to become stronger. Fong Ping shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Creating a new path was not that easy. The path he was taking might be special, but it was not suitable for popularization. Such a path was still not perfect. However, it was not Fong Ping's turn to care about these things. He would live until the end. At this moment, Fong Ping's body trembled. The origin world had expanded to 300 meters. Consuming the origin chi at all costs, a heavenly king seal had allowed his origin world to break through another barrier. The remaining 2 might not allow him to reach a diameter of 500 meters, but 400 meters should be stable. No, I have to get that King Zhen seal from the heaven-suppressing king. If there are 3 of them, it should be enough for me to break through to a diameter of 500 meters. Fang Ping was still thinking about this. As his origin world grew stronger, the pillar in the middle seemed to be unable to support it anymore. Creak, creak, it broke a little more. Fang Ping frowned. After he became stronger, he seemed to be repulsed by the origin Tao. This might also be a problem with beginner martial. He stopped thinking about this. Very soon, Fang Ping suppressed the restlessness in his heart and continued to refine the other 2 heavenly king seals. King Qian and King Zhen's heavenly king seals were much more difficult to refine because their owners were still alive. The origin qi began to be consumed at a crazy rate. Fang Ping had condensed a lot of origin qi previously. He gave some to old Zhang and the rest and fed some to the green cat. Now, the consumption was getting faster and faster. Fang Ping vaguely felt that the origin qi consumed this time would probably shock him. The ones that he condensed previously might not be able to leave much. The night faded completely. That night, the roar of the battle did not stop. That night, Fang Ping had also refined the remaining 2 heavenly king seals. His body had consumed countless imperishable substances, in addition to a few transformations. Although he felt that he had not recovered to his peak, he was not far from it. On the other hand, the recovery speed of his mentality and brain nucleus was a little slow. The 4 fat kids were lazy, as if they had eaten too much previously and were now slacking in their work. As for Fang Ping, he took a look at his own data again and was satisfied. 300 meters and 400 meters, he had transformed twice. Wealth. 80 billion points vitality. 2,300,000 calories. 2,350,000 calories. Mentality. 19,399 Hz. 20,099 Hz per 19,399 Hz. Origin Tao, plus 180%, Outer Tao, Origin World. 440 meters combat technique. God-slaying saber technique, plus 9%, combat technique combination deduction. 1 million points / time strength control. 80% limit outburst. 543-3200 cal / 6791500 cal. His basic vitality was as high as 2.35 million calories, but the amplification of the outer Tao had decreased. His strength control had also decreased. The amplification of the outer Tao had decreased because the outer Tao was also being covered, and there were some cracks. The strength control had decreased because his strength had increased too quickly. Fang Ping was losing control more and more. With the amplification of my outer Tao, this Emperor's path is very likely to collapse next. The stronger I am, the more limited the improvement of Tao will be for me. Even so, Fang Ping was still extremely satisfied. His own foundation was getting stronger and stronger, so strong that it made him a little arrogant. Physique. Battle Emperor. His own strength had surpassed those weak Emperor powerhouses who had the origin Tao's amplification. Ordinary heavenly kings were not as strong as his physique. At this moment, perhaps only those heavenly kings with broken 7 could compete with his physique. There's still one more heavenly king seal. I'll go find heavenly king subduing, and get the last one. I'll have another transformation of my body. It's almost time to go out. Fang Ping was too worried about the outside world. At this time, it was almost time for him to leave. Old Man Li had actually gone to kill a saint. This old man was also very arrogant. He still did not know if something would happen. Chapter 12:19. The battle in the fake heavenly grave had calmed down. Outside the fake sky grave. Yesterday, heavenly kings fell one after another. Fang Ping single-handedly killed King Sun. Almost all the powerhouses above saint level knew about it. For a moment, Fang Ping's name was awe-inspiring. However, this did not include the Chu Wu lineage. The Chu Wu lineage knew that so many people had died yesterday, but they had no idea who had killed them or who had died. There was no source, no way to pry into it. He only knew that someone had died, but he didn't know who it was. As for the experts of the three realms who were above the Saint realm, they were all silent. No one said anything to the outside world, nor could they say anything for fear of inciting panic. Almost all the experts in the three realms had a grudge against the human race. The fact that Fong Ping had killed King Sun, the ancient heavenly king, shocked everyone. The 9 saints of the catacombs did not dare to say anything, lest the venerable sovereigns and true gods below panic. Even if they didn't say it, there were saint-level cultivators who were on good terms with the humans. Most of the higher-ups knew about it, but that didn't mean that Li Chongqing knew. Li Chongqing had snuck into the catacombs long before the war started. He, who also did not have an origin, naturally did not know about this. At this moment, in the northern territory of the catacombs, Royal Sea Mountain region, the peak of the human race who had presided over this place in the past had long left. There was no catacombs true king guarding the opposite side of Mount Royal Sea. The catacombs were too big. Nowadays there were not many true kings. Old Manly wielded a long sword and stood at the peak of Mount Royal Sea. He looked straight ahead, frowning slightly. Soon after, a black shadow tore through the air and approached them. King Huai stopped outside the mountain and said with a smile, "You're here." Old Manly glanced at him, then looked at the blurry heaven and earth. At this moment, in the catacombs, the blood rain was still raining, but it seemed to be separated by a thin membrane. Old Manly took a look and said in a low voice, "Is this the effect of the Heavenly King's seal and Saint's token? Not bad." King Huai said solemnly, "The celestial court has been re-established, and the 9 saints have used the Heavenly King token and the Saint token as the foundation to cover the world, suppressing rivers and mountains. The area within the forbidden region is the territory of the Heavenly Court. As long as outsiders exceed a certain boundary, they will be sensed by the experts of the Heavenly Court." Old Manly frowned. Detector? Over at the catacombs, they were now using the Saint's token and the Heavenly King seal to cast a net. The people who entered were weak, so they wouldn't cause too much of a commotion. However, once an expert entered, the net would fluctuate. This was also one of the functions of the Saint Order and Heavenly King seal. Fong Ping had not learned these yet. King Huai smiled and said, "No matter. After all, there were only 6 Saint tokens and 1 Heavenly King seal. It wasn't the main body of the 9 Emperors' seal. There were 9 saints, and the one in charge of these seals was the Sky Sword Saint. The Sky Sword Saint controlled the Heavenly King seal and could sense when saints entered. The perception of the other powerhouses holding tokens was even weaker. You and I are not saints, we won't be sensed. Where is Wild Blade? It's at the peak of a mountain 10,000 li ahead. He didn't move. No, maybe they're waiting for reinforcements. After all, the human race isn't weak, and the Heavenly Wood Saint is still there. Even if he kills his way into the human world, he might not be able to gain the upper hand." Speaking up to hear, King Huai said in a low voice, "Yesterday, a large number of powerhouses perished, and even many heavenly kings perished. Especially the Demon Emperor. He died in the Forbidden Sea and perished together with Heaven's Sealing Island. Did something big happen to your human race?" The Demon Emperor died in battle, and it was against the Heaven Sealing clan. Previously, a saint powerhouse appeared in the human race, and some people suspected that he was the reincarnation of the Demon Emperor. If that was the case, it meant that something big had probably happened to the human race. After all, King Huai was not a saint. If the catacombs' 9 saints did not say anything, he would not be able to guess anything. Speaking up to hear, King Huai said, "If that's the case, I'm afraid the Chu Wu line will have less to fear. Especially the death of the Demon Emperor. Previously, the Demon Emperor did not die. Even though he parted ways with Ashkat, he was still a powerhouse who protected Ashkat. Now that the Demon Emperor is dead, Tengu has left, and there aren't many human powerhouses left, I think the Chu Wu line is really going to make a move. Old Man Li said lightly, "Many heavenly kings died in battle yesterday. We humans don't have that many heavenly kings, so there must be heavenly kings from other forces who died." Before he finished, King Huai chuckled and said, "Anyway, those who died were from the origin line. The Chu Wu line can't wait for more death. The more deaths, the better it is for them. Originally, they had to guard against those heavenly kings. Now that many of them have died in battle, the Chu Wu line may officially appear next." Old Man Li's expression was slightly solemn. King Huai said again, "Are you still going to kill Blade Maniac? Let me remind you, I'm not very confident in killing Blade Maniac. But if you don't, once the reinforcements arrive, they will soon kill their way into the human world. Blade Maniac is dead. Even if the Chu Wu line arrives, they will not act rashly. Instead, they will investigate to see if it was caused by hidden powerhouses from other forces. Killing Blade Maniac can buy you some time. Of course, once he is exposed, he may not be able to delay anything." Old Man Li did not say anything. After a pause, he asked, "How long can you hold Blade Maniac?" "I don't know." "Are you sure you can hold off a saint?" "I don't know." Old Man Li's eyes were dark. "Are you messing with me?" King Huai said playfully, "Why would I? If you die, I will be in danger too. I really don't know. All these years, I have never really fought with a saint. How would I know if I can hold them off? I'll just take a gamble. Don't you humans like to take a gamble? If that's the case, why not take a gamble?" Old Man Li said coldly, "That's because humans are all comrades who fight side by side. Even if we know we are no match for them, we believe that no one will stab us in the back. But you? Are you worthy?" King Huai laughed and crossed his arms. "Then I'll give up?" Old Man Li sneered. "Give up? Do you think you can scare me? I think you want to kill him more than I do. Are you anxious as well? The Catacombs' 9 saints are in charge. We still need true kings like you. When those powerhouses return from the fake heavenly grave and a large number of true kings return, will we still need you? Even the 3-realm heavenly kings are out. What can you do as a true king? If you want to kill Blade Maniac, don't tell me it's to help humans. I'll laugh at you. It's just a win-win situation." King Huai smiled brightly. "I have a rotten life. I've struggled for so many years just to live a better life. All these years, I've been living well, but now, true kings are like ants. Naturally, I don't want to fall behind and go back to the past, waiting to be slaughtered. Killing Blade Maniac, I have my own benefits, but you have yours too. Li Chongqing, at this point, can't you see through me?" Old Man Li was cold. It was not that he could not see through him, but he did not trust him. He did not trust King Huai. He had no doubt that if he killed Blade Maniac, this fellow might betray him. Of course, that was if he did not expose himself. If he could not kill Blade Maniac and King Huai left, he might become a sacrifice to hold Blade Maniac back. King Huai would do something like that. Seeing that he did not speak, King Huai smiled. "Longevity Sword, are you going to cooperate or not? If you don't, then forget it. Soon, if I'm not wrong, in 3 days at most, someone from the Chua line will come. 3 days later, when they arrive, the Chua line will make their move. If Blade Maniac dies, even if the Chua line comes, they might have to wrangle with the 9 saints for a while. This is your goal. Also, 1 less saint will be less of a threat to you guys." Old Man Li glanced at him again and smiled. "All right. Then let's do it. However, I'll only use 1 strike. This strike might be aimed at Blade Maniac, or it might be aimed at you." King Huai glanced at the long sword in his right hand and raised an eyebrow. Today, the Longevity Sword's aura was restrained. It looked fragile, but the long sword vaguely gave him a great sense of threat. Li Chongqing had only nurtured the sword for 3 days. King Huai did not say anything. He smiled and asked, "How far can your sword kill?" "There's no living thing within 10,000 meters. 10 kilometers. King Huai murmured. As for no living thing, he could ignore it. Did he really think he was a sword god? Alright, then you wait 50 kilometers away. I'll go first and see if there's a chance. Once the battle breaks out, I'll try my best to lure the opponent to your side. If you can't kill him with one strike, King Huai said playfully, then we'll split up and escape on our own. We'll each rely on our own methods. Alright. The two of them quickly reached an agreement. King Huai did not wait for him and swiftly left. Old Man Li did not tear the air. He flew at breakneck speed and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Magic City. Wu Quishan frowned and sighed. Old Li must have gone to the catacombs. What do we do now? Beside him, Su Yunfei, who had just advanced not long ago, glanced at the sleeping cat, then at Heavenly Wood with its eyes closed. He thought for a while and said, "Since Sky Emperor can communicate with King Humans, did you ask when King Wu and the others will return to Earth?" Wu Quishan glanced at the cat. Seeing that it was sleeping again, he felt helpless. This cat had been sleeping a lot lately. According to Fong Ping and the others, this was not a good thing. Wu Quishan thought for a while. A big fish appeared in his hand. A live one. The big fish swayed around the cat's head. The next moment, the cat opened its eyes and said unhappily, "So fishy. I only eat cooked ones, not raw ones. If you use a live fish again, I'll stab you to death." Wu Quishan was mentally exhausted. "You're still awake. It's good that you're awake." "Cat, did Fong Ping say when he'll be back?" The liar said as soon as possible. As soon as possible, Wu Quishan felt a headache coming on. As soon as possible, I don't know for sure. According to Chongqing, the first martial artists have already appeared. Their primary target is you. Right now, we're still not sure how many people they have and how strong they are. Having said that, he looked at the old man that Heavenly Wood had transformed into and asked, "Senior Heavenly Wood, how much do you know about the first martial artists?" Heavenly Wood said slowly, "The beginner martial artist is the beginning of martial arts. In the past, the beginner martial artists were known as the myriad paths contend for supremacy. One person on one path. Those who walk a path alone are called beginner martial artists. The so-called beginner martial artists refer to those first-generation martial artists. Back then, it did not include those disciples and descendants. There are strong and weak beginner martial artists. There are not many beginner martial artists who have really walked the path to an extremely profound level." Heavenly Wood thought for a while and said, "The beginner martial artists, who are known as the myriad paths, might really have walked 10,000 different paths. However, some might only have the ability of rank 6 or 7 and have long died of old age. Some might be rank 8 or 9 and can no longer go on. This is also the path of beginner martial artists. At that time, the path was not clear. No one knew. They just walked randomly. There are not many beginner martial artists who have really walked to a stage that people can remember. During the peak of beginner martial artists, which is also the end of beginner martial artists, a group of people walked to an extremely profound level and called themselves gods." "Gods?" Wu Quishan laughed and said, "Many people like to call themselves that. Those true gods." Heavenly Wood waved his hand and said, "It's not the same. Beginner martial artists are true gods. They created martial arts from nothing. Even if the beginner martial artists were defeated, the 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors would still recognize them as gods. Although these people were defeated, they indeed had the ability of gods and demons. Back then, powerhouses who had the combat strength of a heavenly king could be called god. There were strong and weak gods too. The strong ones were even close to the level of emperors. They were extremely terrifying. During the beginner martial artist era, a group of strong gods each ruled a continent and passed down their orthodoxy. Towards the end, the 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors proved their Tao and had a huge conflict with the beginner martial artists. That was also the period when the most beginner martial artist powerhouses died. The Eastern Emperor killed the sword god to prove his Tao, the human emperor killed the saber god to prove his Tao, the divine emperor defeated the martial god to prove his Tao. Tianmu sighed and said, "It was also from then on that the relationship between the beginner martial artists and the origin became worse and worse. The 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors proved their Tao. They either killed their gods or defeated their god. They were all a group of supreme experts. A group of supreme experts. Not 1 or 2. At that time, the beginner martial artists were too powerful. However, such a powerful beginner martial artist was defeated in the end. He was defeated by the origin and helped the 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors." At this point, Tianmu continued, "This old man is not too familiar with this blade maniac. However, according to the God Creation Envoy, this person is a disciple of the Fire God. The Fire God was..." Before it could finish, the cat stopped sleeping. It opened its eyes and muttered, "He's a big bad guy. This cat can hold a grudge, I still remember him. A long, long time ago, this cat was still sleeping and basking in the sun. This bad guy suddenly came and wanted to kill the cat. The cat felt wronged and said, this cat didn't provoke him. He suddenly wanted to kill the cat and roast the cat meat to eat. At that time, the big dog and I were very weak and were bullied so pitifully. This bad guy has roasted this cat. My world has been roasted to the point of exploding. Later on, the great Tao shook and someone discovered it. Everyone came forward to stop it and save this cat. When the cat captain found out, he brought the cat army to the Fire God continent and killed this guy. However, the cat captain was also killed by him. It was so tragic, the cat felt extremely wronged, the cat captain was killed, and more than half of the cat army died. From then on, this cat could only wander around the heaven realm. It's so pitiful, I don't even have food to eat. The cat began to act pitiful. Tianmu was too lazy to expose it. When the cat captain had just died, this cat was indeed quite pitiful. But not long after, it hooked up with Celestial Spirit Sovereign and lived a better life than anyone else. What was there to be pitiful about? Tianmu continued, back then, I couldn't move, so I could only hear some things from others. After the Fire God was killed, the Fire God continent sank, but a group of people survived. Among them were a few disciples of the Fire God, who were also at the beginning of the 2nd generation. Some of the 2nd generation beginners were very powerful, even better than their predecessors, such as the 4 Emperor. Tianmu said, Emperor of Heaven Reverse was a bit older, so I don't know. But Emperor of Batian and the others were all beginners of the 2nd generation. But they all surpassed their predecessors and eventually became one of the 4 emperors. Similarly, some beginners of the 2nd generation were very powerful as well. Among the disciples of the Fire God, Saint Martial God was the strongest. Of course, Saint Martial God was at the later stage. Back then, Saint Martial God should have the strength of a heavenly king. Since Mad Blade came from the Fire God's bloodline, he should be a disciple of Saint Martial God. Saint Martial God was the one who inherited the teachings of the Fire God. Wu Quishan said in a deep voice, "Is this guy still alive?" "He should be." "Will he do it himself?" Tianmu shook his head. "It's hard to guess. Not many beginners went to the heavenly court back then. I don't really understand their habit." Wu Quishan frowned and looked at the cat. The cat said innocently, "The liar said that he wouldn't let me go. I heard you let me go last time, but the liar said that I could just sleep and eat on earth." Wu Quishan did not know whether to laugh or cry. He ignored it and looked at Tianmu. "Elder Mu, I'll have to trouble you to make a trip to the catacombs outskirts and be ready to rescue Li Chongqing at any time. I'll make a trip to Star Town and look for the God Crafting Envoy. I'll see if the God Crafting Envoy can help. Sigh, the human race's strength has been greatly reduced because Fong Ping and the others left. I guess if the beginners make a move, they might choose this blank period. When Fong Ping and the others return, I won't be worried, but now..." Wu Quishan shook his head. The human race was still not strong enough. At least there were not many middle-level powerhouses. They lacked some peak-level powerhouses, some emperor-level powerhouses, and some saint-level powerhouses. There were a few peak-level powerhouses. Wu Quishan did not say anything else. He rushed toward Polaris City quickly. He had to look for the god-crafting envoy. He could not let Li Chongqing really die in the catacombs. Otherwise, when Fang Ping and the others returned, he would not be able to explain. At the same time, sea area. A few million miles away from the catacombs mainland, a palace descended from the sky, crashing toward the few people on the surface of the sea. At this moment, a gigantic fist smashed towards him. Boom! The palace was blasted away. In the next moment, the fist burst into flames. The fist blasted through the void and blasted toward the purple-clothed woman who was hiding in the void. The purple-clothed woman's expression was cold. The palace flew back instantly, turning into a long sword and slashed out. Bang! A loud noise resounded in all directions. The void shattered. The purple-clothed woman flew backward, smashing through space, blood flowing from her mouth. "You are no match for me." At this moment, the void shattered. A middle-aged martial artist stepped out of the void. His vitality soared into the sky, shaking heaven and earth. With his hands behind his back, he said coldly, "Lin Zi, all these years, you have wandered the sea of bitterness and traveled to all the branches of Chu Wu. Usually, on account of Spirit Emperor, I did not care about you. Today, you actually dared to plot against my disciple. Do you want to die?" After saying that, he snorted coldly and said, "I guessed it was you. All these years, people from all branches have gone to the desolate border continent and died. I'm afraid it was all done by you. How dare you?" The purple-clothed woman's aura was weak. There was a clear fist mark on her body. Her hair was burned to the point that it was a little dry. At this moment, he snorted coldly and said, "You Chu Wu branches originally did not interfere with me, but back then, when Imperial Aunt left, she asked me to take care of that cat. All these years, you guys have not given up and actually have ideas about that cat, Xing Wu. Aren't you afraid that history will repeat itself and you will follow in your master's footsteps?" The middle-aged man was tall and straight. He said calmly, "Tian Chen was lucky to escape. Now, he has gone to the heavenly grave. There are many people from your source who want that cat dead. Lin Zi, can you resist the general trend alone?" The middle-aged man said coldly, "The general trend is like this. That cat must die. I am only going with the general trend. You are stubborn. Do you really want to die?" At this moment, a few extremely powerful auras came from the void again. The purple-clothed woman's expression changed slightly. "You already knew I was here. You want to ambush and kill me?" "That's right," the middle-aged man said coldly. "Since you people from Spirit Emperor's branch are stubborn, then we will kill you all." After saying that, the middle-aged man shouted, "Go to the human world and kill that cat. Destroy the root of the source." Yes. The people who were almost crushed to death by the purple-clothed woman's palaces responded and hurriedly flew toward the cave. "How dare you!" the purple-clothed woman shouted. She held the sword that the cat palace had transformed into and swung it. A crack appeared in the void, and in the blink of an eye, she attacked the people who were leaving. The middle-aged man sneered and punched again. With a rumble, the sword chi from the divine artifact cat palace was also shattered by the man's punch. The man grabbed the purple-clothed woman with his bare hands. His claws tore through the void with frightening strength. There was no fluctuation of source chi, and there was no need. This was a beginner martial artist. In the beginner martial lineage, beginner martial artists walked their own path. Some second-generation beginner martial artists were extremely powerful even if they did not walk their own path. This was because they had forged a strong body or powerful mental strength. And some of the second-generation beginners had actually walked their own paths. Seal her source. The source lineage without source is so weak. The middle-aged man smiled disdainfully. The middle-aged man smiled in disdain. In the next moment, a powerful spiritual force enveloped the purple-robed woman. The purple-robed woman shouted softly and slashed out with her sword. The sword slashed out a crack in the air, smashing the incoming spiritual force. She tore through the void and fled into the distance. Want to leave? It's not that easy. All these years you've been guarding misery. How many beginner martial artists have you killed? You deserve to die. The man broke through the void with one step. His body was jade-colored. His powerful vitality shook the misery sea. He had proven himself to be a heavenly king with his physical strength. This was a beginner martial body powerhouse. His vitality was more than 5 million calories. How terrifying was that? Even Fong Ping's vitality had not reached 3 million calories until now. According to the beginner martial realm, he was not even a saint. The difference was huge. The man continued to attack the purple-clothed woman. In the dark, no one appeared from the few bursts of aura earlier. Someone had locked onto the purple-clothed woman, ready to strike at any time. The purple-clothed woman did not care about what was behind her. A few times, she wanted to take a detour and turn back to kill the powerhouses who were heading toward the catacombs. However, she was blocked several times and was getting further and further away from the catacombs. At this moment, the woman looked worried. She could not stop him. A few powerhouses from the beginner martial lineage had appeared to stop her. It seemed like these people had reached a consensus after all these years. What was more troublesome was that King Qian, King Kuan, and King Zhen had all left. Otherwise, these people would have been in a small world in the misery sea. Even if they were not with Ashcat, seeing these beginner martial artists going to kill Ashcat, there would be people who would stop them. But now they were gone. These beginner martial powerhouses also knew that they had left. That was why they dared to act unscrupulously. Ashcat, run! The woman repeated in her heart. She felt helpless. She had been waiting here for many years, and had helped Ashcat avoid danger many times. At this moment she was powerless to stop them. Chapter 12:20. Someone asked me to run away. In Magic City, the cat muttered. Was it that little girl? No, was it that old lady? She should be very old. The girl who was bullied by him every day when she was young. Had she become a heavenly king now? The cat looked up at the sky, blaming himself. Was he too lazy? Why was he not as strong as that girl? No, she's a human, I'm a cat. Humans should cultivate, cats shouldn't cultivate, the ash cat comforted itself. Whatever. As for running away, the liar told him not to run. Besides, he did not know where to go now. He should digest the origin energy. The cat made up his mind. With a stern face, he gritted his teeth. This time, I won't eat the fish demon anymore. I have to work. I have to be strong. Eating fish-headed demons every day would cause his origin energy to be consumed over and over again, causing it to be depleted. After so many years, eating the fish demon had consumed at least half of its origin energy. The cat made up his mind. Sleep. There was everything in the cat world. Once awakened, he would be the strongest cat in the 3 realms, although he was still the strongest now. The outside world was in chaos again. In the fake sky grave, Fong Ping wandered around, leading War King and the others. He walked in the air, extremely ostentatious, laughing loudly. King Zhen, Li Zhu, where are you hiding? I'm alone. My strength has only recovered to rank 3. Come out. You don't dare? Useless. You don't even dare to kill rank 3. You still want to become an emperor? Go home, wash up, and sleep. Heavenly King, what's the use of being a heavenly king? Fong Ping scolded jokingly, but he did not meet many people. Those he met were usually those who were neutral, such as some true gods from overseas immortal islands. 3 months ago, many people came in. There were dozens of humans, hundreds of people from the catacombs, overseas immortal islands, beyond heavens, bounded boundaries, forbidden sea monsters in total, more than 300 powerhouses came in. But now it was hard to say. On the human side, even including Fong Ping, Old Zhang, and the others, there were only about 30. On the catacomb side, there were also heavy casualties. More than 100 people who came in that day might not even survive. On the side of the divine sect, King Kuan had also brought many people in that day, but now only 10 of them had survived. At this moment Wu Chuan, who was following behind Fong Ping, coughed softly and said, "Fong Ping, it's better if we don't provoke strong enemies now." Fong Ping laughed. "It's fine. Would they dare to come out?" After saying that, Fong Ping looked around, thought for a while, and asked, "Has anyone seen Hua Tongshan's venerable emperor?" Everyone looked at each other and shook their heads. They didn't see anything. There were many venerable sovereigns in this place, and not everyone had encountered one. Fong Ping raised his brows and sneered. Huatong Mountain, Luofu Mountain, and Void Mausoleum Grotto Heaven have all been annihilated by me previously. Qing Jing was killed, and the one from the Void Mausoleum Grotto Heaven was refined by Old Zhang. Now it seems that only the one from Huatongshan is still alive. Let's find a chance to kill him. Most of the people in the 3 Grotto Heavens and Blessed Lands were dead. Even if some of the real gods had entered, only a few of them had died. Venerable sovereigns were still a threat. Venerable sovereign Hua Tongshan's strength was not weak. After all, it was the number 1 Grotto Heaven below the 10 great Grotto Heavens. Even if he had not reached the Saint Realm, he would be close to it. Fong Ping had not seen the other party for the past few days. Perhaps the other party was in closed-door cultivation to break through to saint level. Speaking of saints, a saint had arrived. The current saints would definitely not dare to loiter around Fong Ping. The person who had arrived was Gong Juanzi. Gong Juanzi's long hair fluttered in the wind, and he looked like an immortal. He had also broken through to saint level a few days ago. Now, he could be considered to have lived up to his name as the master of the 10 Grotto Heavens. Fong Ping did not see Gong Juanzi in the previous battle, and he did not know where he had gone. At this moment, seeing Gong Juanzi, Fong Ping was still quite polite. He smiled and said, "Greetings, North Sea Saint." Gong Juanzi smiled and shook his head. "Saint. Saints are fated to be killed in front of you. Why do you have to mock me, King Human?" "Then, Senior, you are now." Fong Ping was a little confused. Why was Gong Juanzi looking for him now? Gong Juanzi thought for a moment and said, "I heard that you're looking for saint tokens. I was lucky enough to obtain one in the past." As he spoke, a saint token appeared in his hand, and he tossed it to Fong Ping. Fong Ping was surprised. How generous! However, very soon, he understood what it meant to be a sly old fox. It was referring to people like Gong Juanzi. After tossing the saint's token to Fong Ping, Gong Juanzi's attitude was nonchalant. He said casually, "It's like this. The cultivation method that I cultivate has a certain relationship with the imperial beast. The stronger the imperial beast, the faster the cultivation method will improve, and the faster the path will be opened." Wasn't dragon transformation a heavenly king now? I'm also a demonic beast. The human king and the dragon transformation are on good terms. Can you talk to the dragon transformation and let me ride it for a few days? Fong Ping's jaw dropped. It was really shocking. You have the nerve to say such a thing? You? Senior, why don't you go yourself? Gong Juanzi looked at him as if he was looking at an idiot. Nonsense, would I dare to say it? Do you want to be beaten to death by dragon transformation? I'm only a saint, but he's already a heavenly king. If it wasn't for this, would I have come looking for you? Do you think I can just throw the sage token to you? If the dragon transformation is not appropriate, can the human king discuss it with the sea guardian? Fong Ping suddenly wanted to beat him to death. Only then did he realize that this person was very coquettish. Are you King crazy? It's not enough for you to ask me to look for the dragon transformation. You're actually thinking of going after the Sea Guardian. You're courting death. Don't drag me into it. Gong Juanzi also seemed to feel that it was a little too much. He coughed lightly and said, if it's not possible, saint-level strength can also be used. Fang Ping's face darkened. I don't think there are any saint-level demons. The dragon transformation was, but now a Gong Juanzi laugh. There are still some. The descendant of the water god, Li Wuji, isn't he on good terms with the human king? I see that the water god is about to achieve saint realm. Can the human king go and help him a little? If the water god breaks through to saint realm under my beast taming technique, it will be beneficial to him and to me. Fang Ping understood. This fellow's goal was actually the water god. Talking about the dragon transformation and the sea guardian was all intentional. He wanted Fang Ping to feel that the difficulty would gradually decrease. From Broken 8 to Emperor, of course, the water god was easier. However, Fang Ping knew that it was definitely not that simple. The water god is Emperor Nan's mount. Fang Ping was speechless. He will be used by you? Gong Juanzi could not hold it in anymore. He smiled bitterly. It's because I know that he is Emperor Nan's mount that I came to ask for help, the human king. Otherwise, when an emperor breaks through, I will definitely not give up, and I will not be afraid. However, the water god is different. He is Emperor Nan's mount. When the time comes, I'm afraid he will not surrender. Actually, I have never thought of using him. I just want to look out for each other. My beast taming technique is also beneficial to him. However, I also know that there is no proof. The water god will not believe me easily. That's why I want the human king to be a middleman and see if he can convince the water god. Fang Ping understood. This was how relationships work. After thinking about it, Fang Ping nodded. I can try, but it might not work. I do have some friendship with Li Wuji, but the water god. Gong Juanzi also smiled bitterly. That's right. Last time, I even attacked him and cut off a lot of his flesh. Now sigh. Fang Ping smiled. You can try asking the Dragon Emperor. That's impossible. Gong Juanzi felt even more helpless. The Dragon Emperor is actually a descendant of the Beast Emperor. Although he is not a direct descendant, he is indeed a descendant of the Beast Emperor. I, the Imperial Demon Clan, have a bad relationship with the Beast Emperor bloodline. The last time we cooperated, it was also because of Song Mao. If I use the Dragon Emperor now, I'm afraid he will immediately fall out. Fang Ping nodded again. This was true. The Beast Emperor bloodline and Quechang Mountain were natural enemies. Previously, the dragon transformation had even mentioned this, asking Fang Ping to abandon the method of refining the demon core into a divine weapon. Otherwise, when the Beast Emperor returned, there would definitely be a dispute. It's okay. You still have a deer at home. It is also a top-notch Emperor level. Fang Ping smiled. The Sika deer at home should have been taken away by Tsang Mao previously. Its strength is not weak. Even if you don't succeed, when you get out, it will be the same to look for that deer. Gong Juanzi was stunned, then frowned slightly. I knew it was not dead back then. It came from the Feng Tian bloodline? That's right. Sigh. Gong Juanzi sighed. No wonder. It was no wonder he had been backfired back then. The powerhouses of the Feng Tian bloodline had extremely strong mentality. In addition, they had a good understanding of the Heaven Destroyer bloodline. He, Gong Juanzi, had also learned the Heaven Destroyer bloodline. It was no wonder his cultivation method was broken. Fang Ping did not care about these. He had obtained another saint token. Fang Ping looked at his wealth points with trepidation. His wealth points had reached 95 billion points. He was so frightened that he began to consume his wealth points hurriedly. It was too much. If he consumed a little more, what would he do if he leveled up directly? Of course, the current him would not have a problem even if he did not conceal his aura. The problem was, however, that many of the system's functions could not be used. Without the functions such as breaking into the origin, his combat strength was still somewhat reduced. If one day the system completely fails, I will be in trouble too, Fang Ping muttered in his heart. He still had to strengthen himself as soon as possible. Otherwise, if the system really failed one day, he would be in trouble. After consuming 45 billion points of wealth points, keeping his wealth points at 50 billion points, Fang Ping finally felt at ease. He had obtained another saint token, 13 tokens, 3 heavenly king seals, 13 saint tokens. It's very easy to collect them. Fang Ping was still satisfied. Previously, he thought that collecting 36 saint tokens and 8 heavenly king seals would be very difficult. Now, it seemed like it was still possible. Let's go, Senior Gong Juanzi. You come with us too. I'll go snatch some things first. As for the hydraulic power, it's not too late to talk about it later. Gong Juanzi smiled bitterly. Only Fang Ping's words were unscrupulous. Very soon, Fang Ping found a person. Opposite him was Heavenly Emperor Wuya of Mount Wuya. This was also an ancient venerable emperor, the island master of the overseas Immortal Islands. He and Immortal Inquisition Islands Taoist Nun Wenxian were the only 2 saint powerhouses. At this moment, seeing Fang Ping, Heavenly Emperor Wuya took out the saint token without a second word, saying hurriedly, "King man, if you need it, just take it. Even if I lose my holy weapon, I might not die here. Even if I really die here, it's just bad luck." Fang Ping did not know what he should say after hearing what he said. Without saying any nonsense, Fang Ping tossed over an incomparably huge mass of origin qi. The value was close to 10 billion points. Heavenly Emperor Wuya's face lit up. He knew that Taoist Nun Wenxian had also exchanged for these origin qi. He even thought that the current powerful Fang Ping might not exchange. Maybe he would directly snatch it from him. In order to save his life, he could only hand it over to Fang Ping. But fortunately, Fang Ping was still considered loyal and actually gave treasures. Fang Ping could not be bothered to say more either. He opened his mouth and said, "Since your Mount Wuya is of the East Imperial lineage, my human race doesn't wish to become enemies with the Imperial Dao lineage right now either. These exchanging for your saint token is also for your safety. Otherwise, the ones eyeing the saint token right now aren't just me alone. Although the saints are strong, they might not be able to keep it. Thank you very much, King Man." Heavenly Emperor Wuya made a polite remark and did not say anything else either. Qing Tong, Taoist Nun Wenxian, these people all handed over the saint token one after another. The divine sect's 3 protectors who did not hand over, 2 of them were directly killed. No, there was also Heavenly Emperor Pingyu. For the saint token, 3 saints died. At this point, how could Heavenly Emperor Wuya not understand that the saint token was really a hot potato? It was better to hand it over. 14 pieces already. The joy in Fang Ping's eyes was obvious. Because of his powerful strength, collecting saint tokens was also getting faster and faster. Very soon, Fang Ping started searching for the others again. Now, the powerhouses who still had saint tokens were not many. The 4 saints followed Sky Chief. Among them, 3 still had it. Sky Chief also had it. The Divine General's last protector followed King Kuan. This one was probably hard to snatch. He did not know whether the 2 Catacombs Kings had it or not. But following Hong Yu, it was also hard to snatch it. Fang Ping thought about it and asked, "Senior Gong Juanzi, the masters of the 4 Brahmas almost all have saint tokens." Disregarding Chang Rong, he died too quickly. Even if he had it, it was also left in the source universe. But Heavenly Emperor Yulong is still alive. Does he have this item? Gong Juanzi thought about it and said, "The possibility is still very high." The masters of the four Brahmas are all ancient, venerable emperors. Back then, the heaven realm was ruined, heavenly kings did not come out. The saints were practically all dead. These ancient, venerable emperors dominated the three realms. Back then, a group of people followed Heavenly Dog to explore the heavenly cemetery. Some of them returned alive. It's not strange that they obtained saint tokens. Yulong also went back then. It's still possible that he has this item. Fong Ping was delighted. It was best if he had it. He would collect all these scattered outside first before thinking about the rest. More than an hour later, Fong Ping saw Heavenly Emperor Yulong. The moment this ancient venerable emperor saw Fong Ping, he knew why Fong Ping had come. He smiled bitterly and said, "Human King, Yulong and the humans are not enemies. Yulong has even accepted a group of human disciples as disciples." Fong Ping smiled. "I know. Yu Su Zi belongs to your Yulong. If I remember correctly, I have an old acquaintance, Director Tan Yong. Now that he has entered your Yulong, you must treat these humans well." Fong Ping knew that Tan Yong had entered Yulong. In fact, he had consulted his superiors, and they had approved him to go. He was considered a spy on the surface. Back then, the 6 Grandmasters cooperated with the humans and accepted a group of humans as disciples. Fong Ping also wanted to borrow their strength, and even allocated the catacombs entrance to them. How were these people now? Before Fong Ping entered, he had displayed his might. The Grandmasters did not dare to act rashly and treated them quite well. They had all improved rapidly. As for now, it had only been a few days. Presumably, even if there were some changes to the humans, these people would not dare to fall out rashly. Human King is here to look for the saint token? That's right. Heavenly Emperor Yulong smiled. This old and useless one has one. I picked it up near the heavenly cemetery by chance in the past. It's not a big deal to gift it to Human King. However, this old and useless one has a small request. I wonder if Human King can fulfill it? Senior, please speak frankly. Heavenly Emperor Yulong glanced at him and smiled. The human world's Sino nation has 4 departments and 4 residences. And now, because Martial King and Human King are both from Sino nation, the 4 departments and 4 residences are also considered the human world's core layer. This old and useless one has a son who has advanced to true God for many years, but has not advanced an inch. This old and useless one would like to ask for a favor on behalf of my son. Can you let my son take up the position of one of the deputy departments? Of course, it will not involve your human race's core decision-making. Fong Ping was slightly stunned and instantly understood. Heavenly Emperor Yulong, this old fox, finally started investing in the human race. Previously, the 6 great beyond heavens and the human race were actually just simple cooperation and did not involve any deep level. But now, clearly, this old fox changed his mind. Letting his son enter the 4 departments, looks like he wanted to take the opportunity to deepen cooperation with the human race. Heavenly Emperor Yulong was also a saint-rank powerhouse, as ancient as dragon transformation. Fong Ping's eyes flickered for a moment and he said with a smile, "Okay, I agree. Many thanks, Human King." Heavenly Emperor Yulong also started laughing and handed over the saint token very quickly, extremely delighted. He did not stay for long either, leaving very quickly. The moment he left, Gong Juanzi said mockingly, "This old fellow has a lot of cunning tricks. He himself doesn't dare to rashly intervene and let his son enter the human world. Once something happens, it's not impossible for this old fellow to give up on his son." Fong Ping smiled and said, "No worries. I understand these people's thoughts. But now, the human race finally managed to gain a firm foothold. Even if we can't rope them in thoroughly, we also have to make them, these saints, not easily get involved. These old antiques might advance to Heavenly King at any time." It was also a problem. The Water Force clan has already cooperated with the human race. Xuanda Grotto Heaven has also cooperated with the human race. In addition to Senior, there are also people in Beyond Heavens who are willing to cooperate now. This is a good thing. If the human race continues to fight, enemies will be everywhere. Although we are not afraid, the casualties will be too heavy after all. Gong Juanzi nodded slightly. This was the human race's matter. He was just saying it and would not overly participate in it. At the side, Li Jun said gloomily, "Not bad. You have some of Zhang Tao's demeanor. I thought you would refuse directly." A temporary deputy position did not actually have much of an impact. However, according to Fang Ping's temperament in the past, he did not have a good attitude toward these old antiques. It was already good enough that he did not fall out with them. Fang Ping chuckled and said, "After all, I'm a human king. I can't always do whatever I want. But then again, Commander Li, nowadays, our education ministry has produced too many powerhouses. Minister Zhang and I both have the combat strength of a heavenly king. Instructor Li has the ability to slay an emperor. Vice-Chancellor Wu has become a pinnacle. Even Senior Wu is from a martial arts university." Fang Ping glanced at Li Zhen and sighed. "Back then, on the Sino Rank 9 ranking list, you were Sino Nation's #1. Who would have thought? Sigh, Commander Li, I think you should improve yourself." Li Zhen's expression darkened. "I've been bullied by Zhang Tao my whole life. Are you treating me like this now? Back then, I was Sino Nation's #1. Now," Li Zhen snorted. Li Chongqing was not considered his disciple, but he did teach him the combat technique void-piercing swordplay. Li Chongqing, who was only rank 6 back then, had now slain an emperor. It really made him feel bad. At the side, Nan Yunyue did not speak at all. She did not look at Fang Ping either. "Just pretend that I don't exist." Back then, among the 3 departments and 4 houses, her Department of Investigation Services was the worst off. Fang Ping smiled and did not continue to discourage them. As he walked, he said, "I've collected 15 saint tokens. Old Zhang and the others should still have more. We'll be leaving Spirit Emperor Dojo soon. But before we leave, I still have something to say." "What is it?" Fang Ping turned around to look at the remaining people. After a while, he said, "Among the human race's top powerhouses, one of them must be the Grand Pope. He's in cahoots with King Kun. Actually, I've been thinking, is this Grand Pope one of us? Or is he already dead? After all, too many seniors have fallen before this. There are some things that I don't really want to pursue. The seniors here are all fighting for the human race. I don't see any hesitation. But this matter is still like a fishbone, pricking my heart. The Grand Pope has been in the human race for many years. Back then at the sea, he even wanted to kill me. I didn't die, but I still remember the human powerhouses who died in battle that day. There were even rank 8 powerhouses who died in battle, and they were Commander Li's clansmen." As soon as he said that, everyone's expression changed slightly. Li Zhen said in a low voice, "Fang Ping, now is not the time to suspect anyone. Even if this person is really among us, after fighting for so long, just pretend that he's dead. If he doesn't show up, then pretend that he doesn't exist. Just pretend that he's the one who betrayed the human race that day. Before entering, there was a human paragon who betrayed and even killed another human paragon. Later on, he was beheaded." Li Zhen's words were not surprising. Fang Ping laughed, turning back to take a look. "After a long time," he said, "since Commander Li has said so, I won't mention some things anymore. But, if I find out any clues next time, I won't be merciful either." Having said that, Fang Ping used the flight step and left. Behind him, everyone was silent. The Grand Pope. This fellow hid very well. Whether he was really dead or not, they did not know either. As for who he was, they did not know either. This person did not show up much, but in those years, the evil sect had also created many bloody cases. This matter would probably be discussed in the future. Very soon, Fong Ping arrived at the core of the battlefield where the great battle was still ongoing. As soon as he arrived, old Zhang tossed over a saint token. This was given by Sky Chief. Dragon Transformation also tossed over a saint token from Heavenly Emperor Ping Yu. At this point, the number of saint tokens in Fong Ping's hands had reached 17. Among them, 5 had not been refined yet. With one more, he would be more than half. With the Heavenly King Garrison's Heavenly King Seal, he would have more than half of the saint tokens and Heavenly King Seal. After refining 5 saint tokens, it should not be a problem to reach 500 meters. With the Heavenly King Seal, he might be able to reach 600 meters. Of course, it might not be enough. Fong Ping stared at a few people instantly. It would be best if he could snatch some. Here, he would break through to 600 meters diameter. As for his wealth, he was depleting it quickly. He dared not keep too much. In the next moment, Fong Ping suddenly roared, "Ignore that big fish. Surround and kill King Kuan. No, surround and kill Tianbai. Unless he hands over the saint token, all of you surround and kill him." King Kuan's face darkened. "You dare to bully me? King Qian, this is none of your business. Hurry up and scram. Otherwise, I'll kill you too." "King Kuan, hurry up. Either make Tianbai hand over the saint token, or I'll kill all of you immediately." Fong Ping roared. Then, he looked at Tianbai, who was hiding behind King Kuan, and roared, "Tianbai, King Kuan can't protect you forever. You have the saint token. I'll kill you sooner or later. Just leave it alone. Seeing that you're weak, I might not deal with you. Think it through." King Kuan's expression was indifferent. He said coldly, "Sky Chief, see suppressing, you guys keep fighting. Since Fong Ping has his eyes on you, even if he gets the 9 Emperor Seals in the end, do you think Fong Ping will give it up? This person might not be collecting these to break through 9 heavens, but to enhance his own strength." Fong Ping saw everyone staring at him. He smiled and said suddenly, "King Kuan, you don't have to keep targeting me. Do you want me to speak the truth? Actually, I really don't care about you, even if you've broken 8. Just based on the fact that you've been active in the open for the past 8,000 years and haven't done anything, I don't see you as my opponent. It's the same for Sea Suppressing Envoy. Just based on the fact that he's a fish and a cat has his eyes on him, I don't think he's a threat." Both Sea Suppressing Envoy and King Kuan looked ferocious. Both of them were powerhouses who had broken 8. Even in ancient times, when facing the 9 emperors and 4 emperors, they would be VIPs. They were definitely not small fries. Today, they had been underestimated by Fong Ping. Fong Ping laughed. "I'm telling the truth. You guys should know that among these heavenly kings who have appeared now, the one I'm most wary of is actually Hong Yu, not you guys. A fellow who impersonated the earthly emperor and pretended to be the earthly emperor for 3,000 years. A fellow who faked his death to escape back then and made you guys ignore him. A fellow who unified the 3 realms for 3,000 years and has countless subordinates. In the outside world, he subdued powerhouses like Sky Sword and Sky Speed. Back then, there were still many saints alive in the earthly Emperor God dynasty. The 2 kings of the catacombs were about to become heavenly kings. Everyone, don't tell me you guys think that you're more dangerous than him? Do you guys know how strong he is? King Kuan, don't think that he's just your younger brother. He's much stronger than you. You're really useless. He almost became an emperor. Do you guys know what other tricks he has up his sleeves? Maybe in a few days, he'll control the earthly emperor's true body and appear. I won't be surprised. Why don't we stop fighting and test Hong Yu together? Even if we can't kill Hong Yu, it's still a good thing if we can kill the 2 kings under him. Otherwise, do you guys really feel at ease with 2 more heavenly kings? Fong Ping smiled and said, "Also, I met a weapon master in the space battlefield previously. The weapon master said that he's a loyal subject of the heavenly court and will not betray the heavenly court. The new heavenly court has been established. If he rebels, of course he'll have to deal with him. But if he has the earthly emperor's permission, then he'll be the legitimate one. He'll support the legitimate one. Everyone, think about it. It's hard to say whether the weapon master will break through 7 or 8 ranks. Don't tell me Hong Yu came here for the 9 emperor seals this time? He doesn't even know that the 9 emperor seals are here, but he still came. I think he's probably here for the weapon master. Do you guys believe me? As soon as he said that, Heavenly King Jin frowned slightly and said, "That fellow is really old-fashioned. Hongkuan, does your second brother have the earthly emperor's legacy or keepsake? If he does, he might be able to get the old man's support. You know about your father. Back then, your father was the most arrogant of the 9 emperors. He roped in the 3 emissaries, the 8 kings, and the 36 saints. There are more than 1 or 2 powerhouses who are on good terms with your father. The weapon master is on good terms with him too. If your second brother really has some legacy or keepsake, it's not impossible to get his support, isn't it?" King Kuan's expression kept changing. Fong Ping smiled and said, "Weapon master, Hong Yu, both break through 8 ranks. 2 kings prove their Tao, 2 break through 6 ranks. After all, Moon Spirit is his cultivation partner. If she's on his side too, there's another one. Heaven's Pole is on good terms with Moon Spirit. If he's on her side, oh, he'll be strong. There are still 9 saints over at the catacombs, and not all of them. Hongkuan, if you're on his side, won't the 3 realms belong to you? Why are we still fighting?" On the other side, Sea Guardian Envoy's face was livid. He said softly, "Hongkuan, Hong Yu really has the earthly emperor's legacy, the imperial path's legacy?" King Kuan's expression changed again. After a long while, he said coldly, "I don't know." "Then your brothers are really on the same side?" After Fong Ping said that, Sky Guardian King laughed and said, "Not necessarily. Back then, Hongkuan even sold his second brother. I'm afraid Hong Yu hates him to the core. In my opinion, when Hong Yu proves his Tao, the first person he kills will be Hongkuan. Do you believe me?" King Kuan's expression changed again. He was slightly annoyed. Fong Ping chuckled. "That's true. I heard that back then. He almost proved his Tao as an emperor. In the end, because his secret was leaked, he was targeted and killed. This is an important matter of proving one's Tao. Even if they're blood brothers, it's still a blood feud." King Kuan gave him a deep look. After a while, he said, "There's no need to agitate me. I won't meddle in his affairs anymore." Fong Ping laughed. He looked at the others and chuckled. "Then you guys continue. We'll go play with Hong Yu. If there's a chance, we'll kill the 2 kings and help you vent your anger." No one said anything. Fong Ping chuckled. He gave old Zhang, Long Bian, and the rest a look. What was there to watch? Who cared if they lived or died? Go to Hong Yu and vent your anger. Previously, when the 2 kings attacked, Hong Yu snatched them away. Fong Ping was already unhappy. He might as well take this opportunity to teach him a lesson. The 2 kings might still have a saint's token in their hands. Chapter 12:21. Hong Yu, stop running. Leave your legs behind and I'll let you go today. Otherwise, we'll fight to the death. It was too easy to look for Hong Yu. The Spirit Emperor's Bottomando was not small. If a heavenly king powerhouse wanted to hide, it would be very difficult to find unless one searched inch by inch. Previously, when Fong Ping and Zhang Tao were hiding, it was difficult for the opposing heavenly kings to find them immediately. However, there was no need to look for Hong Yu. He could just look for trouble. Luan disdained hiding his qi dynamic. His qi dynamic was extremely strong. Coupled with his loud curses, Fong Ping easily located Hong Yu's location. As for Sky Chief and the others, Heavenly King Garrison was keeping an eye on them. Fong Ping could not be bothered to get involved. At this moment, Fong Ping was leading old Zhang, Long Bien, Gong Juanzi, and the others. They were treading on the air, taking long strides in a rather leisurely manner. As he hurried over, he asked, "Senior Gong Juanzi." Feeling somewhat helpless, Gong Juanzi interrupted, "This old man is not called Gong Juanzi. Back then, this old man was known as the Duke of Beihai. My given name is Juanzi, and Juanzi is also a respectful title for outsiders. The old cat is ignorant and incompetent, and only listens half of what I'm told. That's why he called this old man Gong Juanzi." Gong Juanzi felt very helpless. "My name only has one word, Juanzi, not Gong Juanzi." But now, no one remembered his name. It was all the fault of the ignorant and incompetent old cat. He had used the name for thousands of years, but no one remembered it. Oh, Senior Gong Juanzi! Fang Ping could not be bothered to change the way he addressed Gong Juanzi. He had gotten used to it. It would be troublesome to change the way he addressed Gong Juanzi all of a sudden. He continued, "Among us, the sects and the outland should know more about the earthly Emperor God dynasty. Is Hong Yu really the earthly Emperor's avatar?" I rose relatively late. When the earthly Emperor God dynasty was founded, I was still weak and young. Long Bien should know more than me. Long Bien said after thinking for a while, "It should be him." About 6,000 years ago, it was still a chaotic period. The three realms were in chaos. At that time, everyone thought that all the sovereigns had fallen and the four emperors were dead. The world was in chaos for 1 or 2,000 years. Back then, great battles had broken out non-stop. People like the chaotic Heavenly King had risen to power during that era. Everyone is confused about the future. Long Bien sighed and said, "The 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors are all dead. Who wouldn't be at a loss? Where was the future?" Some ambitious fellows in the 3 realms also wanted to step forward and take control of the 3 realms and establish the heavenly courts again. In the end, 6,000 years ago, at the heavenly tomb, a sovereign aura pierced through heaven and earth and swept through the 3 realms. An emperor had descended. That day the earthly sovereign appeared. He traveled along the coast and descended upon the earthly emperor continent. Not the current land. There was an even larger continent at that time, but it was destroyed later on. You should know that this was just a remote land of the earthly emperor's celestial dynasty. It was mainly inhabited by some demons. Long Bien continued, "That day, the sovereign Qi shook the 3 realms. Sovereigns descended, and the chaos ended in a single day. Along the way, experts from all over the world submitted to him. Tianji, Tianming, and the others were originally experts of the earthly sovereign's bloodline. At this time, they all showed up and pledged their allegiance to the earthly sovereign. Several surviving sages and venerable sovereigns also showed up to follow the earthly emperor. The earthly sovereign appeared and descended upon the continent. He divided the land into a nation, and his words were the law. He did not build a heavenly court, but a celestial dynasty." Long Change seemed to recall the scene of that day and said with vicissitudes of emotion, "At that time, the originally chaotic situation was practically pacified in a blink of an eye. The powerhouses who were lost also found a pillar of support. The earthly sovereign transmitted his voice to the 3 realms. Although the heavenly realm was destroyed, the experts were still alive. However, the emperors and the extreme ones each had their own important tasks and would not appear in the 3 realms. On this day, the earthly sovereign established the celestial dynasty and the 9 palaces. A batch of heavenly court troops scattered in the 3 realms also quickly pledged their allegiance to the earthly sovereign and established the celestial court army. However, there were actually some clues that appeared back then. "What?" Fang Ping asked. Long Change thought for a while and explained, "At that time there were actually quite a number of heavenly kings. These heavenly kings were in a wait-and-see state. Some heavenly kings did not belong to the earthly sovereign's bloodline, so they were actually waiting for the other emperors to return. At first, the earthly sovereign did not suppress these heavenly kings. That was because everyone thought that the other emperors might return soon. But soon, everyone realized that something was wrong. The earthly sovereign did not attack the heavenly kings. I mean the ancient kings. At that time, we thought that the earthly sovereign did not want to fall out with the other emperors. Later, we realized that it was because the earthly sovereign might not have the ability to suppress those heavenly kings. That was why he could only let them roam freely. Chaos. Before Fang Ping could finish, Long Change laughed and said, "Chaos is different." He rose to power for a short period of time. Moreover, this fellow is someone who craves to see the world in chaos. Back then, even when the earthly sovereign appeared, he still created chaos in the three realms. That was why the earthly emperor god dynasty later surrounded and suppressed him. Since then, chaos has not appeared in the three realms again. He must have run away because he was afraid that the earthly sovereign would attack. Long Change continued, whether the earthly sovereign's avatar is Hong Yu or not, judging from some of the actions of King Kuan and the others, it should prove that he is not the real earthly sovereign. Since he is not the earthly sovereign, yet he can unleash imperial qi and has a certain level of combat strength to hide from the heavenly kings, then it can only be Hong Yu. Fang Ping nodded slightly and asked curiously, "Are the emperors really that strong?" "Just one emperor is enough to suppress the three realms. You should know that there are many powerhouses in the three realms." Long Change pondered for a moment before saying, "According to what the emperor god said back then, the only ones who can defeat the emperors, other than the extreme Tao, only the emperors can. The emperors are too strong. As for how strong they are, no one knows if they are not at this level. After the emperors have proven their Tao, they do not attack many times. They are very, very few. However, the few times they did, it was shocking." Long Change had lived for too long and knew a lot. At this moment, he explained to Fang Ping and the others, "As far as I know, there are a few emperors and extreme Tao who still attack after proving their Tao. The first is Celestial Emperor Batian. He has many battle achievements, but there are two that are the most eye-catching. The first is in the Heavenly Court Martial Arts Exhibition, where he broke through 9 heavens with one punch. Just this alone is something that no Breaking 8 can do. Even a Breaking 8 peak Breaking 8 might not be able to take that punch. The second is when he fought Tengu. Back then, Tengu was actually also a Breaking 7 peak existence, even close to a Breaking 7 peak existence. Back then, he was also invincible in the three realms, provoking beginner martial gods more than once or twice. In the end, in a fit of rage, Celestial Emperor Batian smashed Tengu's head with one punch. Tengu could not fight back at all. That day, among the 100 emperors who surrounded Celestial Emperor Batian, there were many saints. In the end, in a fit of rage, Celestial Emperor Batian unleashed his vitality, causing the 100 emperors to be severely injured. Fang Ping licked his lips. Strong enough. A Breaking 7 Heavenly Hound's head was smashed. No wonder he ran away so fast after that, not daring to stay in the heavenly realm. The second one should be Earthly Sovereign, Long Bien said. Earthly Sovereign was in charge of the land realm back then. The land realm was also the most chaotic realm. The Chua mainland was considered the land realm's territory and was under the earthly sovereign's control. Back then, not long after the Battle of Myriad Dao ended, some beginner martial powerhouses were unconvinced and unwilling to admit the heavenly court's ruling position. In the end, the earthly sovereign's sword descended from the heavenly realm and destroyed a Chua mainland with one strike. On the mainland, a Breaking 7 beginner martial god, along with the powerhouses of the entire mainland, all died under this strike. From then on, the Chua mainland no longer dared to resist the heavenly court's rule. Fang Ping raised his eyebrows. Did the emperors have a battle record of killing a Breaking 8 in an instant? Long Bien thought about it, shook his head and said, "There are not many Breaking 8. Most of them are beginner martial gods. Other than when they were proving their Tao, they killed a few breaking 8. After that, there were no cases of breaking 8 being killed by the emperors. However, even if they were breaking 8, they would definitely not be able to kill a breaking 7 in one move, or even destroy the entire mainland. Therefore, from then on, everyone knew that the emperors were powerful and terrifying. No one in the 3 realms dared to cause trouble again. Destroying a mainland with one move is indeed powerful. No wonder no one dared to resist when the emperors appeared. Fang Ping said and asked again, "When you reach the emperor realm, does your vitality change qualitatively again?" "That's for sure." Long Bian did not seem to think and said immediately, "Before the emperors proved their Tao, most of their combat strength was actually inferior to beginner martial gods. In the battle of proving their Tao, when they fought beginner martial gods, they were almost always at a disadvantage at the beginning. When they were about to prove their Tao, they killed the beginner martial gods and became emperors. Back then, it was not only the 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors who took this path. Many people took this path, but in the end, most of them died in the hands of beginner martial gods. The 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors were the victors. That's why there were the 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors, not just the 13 of them who reached that height. Fang Ping nodded again. The emperors were indeed very powerful. An existence of breaking 9. Breaking 9 was only because there were only 9th heaven. No one knew how powerful a breaking 9 was. Breaking 9 actually meant that the destructive power of the vitality was already close to 40 million calories. It was almost 40 million. Fang Ping shook his head. 40 million. That was terrifying to the extreme. Moreover, at that stage, it should be considered as a qualitative change. Just like Paragon and Rank 9, they might not be able to be defeated by a large number of people. Fang Ping also did not know to what extent this group of people fought to the point that they were killed one by one, fighting until the celestial realm collapsed. Fang Ping asked for a while, and more or less confirmed that the earthly emperor's avatar back then was really Hongyu. And this also involved some problems. For example, where did the imperial aura that had been maintained for 3,000 years come from? If it was a disguise, it might not be a problem for 1 or 2 years, but as long as 3,000 years, this was not as simple as borrowing some imperial aura. While they were talking, everyone had already arrived at the place. At this moment, Hongyu still did not fight with Luan. He continued to fly around with Luan. Luan followed behind. Both parties kept a distance from each other. Fang Ping looked around. Very soon, he raised his eyebrows slightly. What he guessed might not be wrong. Hongyu seemed to be flying toward the space battlefield now. Maybe he really came for the weapon master. Sensing Fang Ping and the others' arrival, Hongyu sighed and turned to look at Fang Ping. "That day in the graveyard of gods, I should have helped you humans. Fang Ping, are all humans so ungrateful?" Fang Ping said calmly, "Of course not. This has nothing to do with you. I'm here for the catacombs 2 kings. These 2 fellows besieged and killed my human powerhouses that day." Tianming said coldly, "Fang Ping, when you appeared that day, you killed a true god. Shouldn't I have helped? You were the ones who barged into our isolation ground. That was our dojo. You came uninvited. Shouldn't we kill you? Why do you have to say all this to cover up the ungrateful nature of you humans?" Fang Ping could not help but laugh. He said, "So you're saying that we were wrong? Isn't that so?" Tianming snorted. The delicate-looking Sky Plant King said with slight anger, "Ever since Pantheon was destroyed, we've been cautious. You guys were the one who started every war. The war between the North and the South was also started by the Sex and King Kuan. Now, you're accusing us of attacking you. Fang Ping, don't you know how ridiculous you are?" Fang Ping looked at the sky and looked at old Zhang. "How do you refute that?" Zhang Tao could not be bothered with him. He said mildly, "Why do you have to say all this? All these years, to make the catacombs and humans go to war, you've been plotting in secret. Do you really think everyone in the world is stupid?" Did we spread the news that the seed of rebirth was in the human race back then? If I remember correctly, according to the catacombs powerhouses, it was you guys who spread it after the God dynasty was destroyed, including the earthly emperor's clone. You two kings are the main culprits of the human race's chaos. At this point, why are you pretending to be innocent? Who are you trying to fool with your attitude that the humans are the ingrates? Zhang Tao sneered. The seed of rebirth is in the human race. Because of this sentence, countless humans have died. Because the person who said this was none other than the earthly emperor. Even if he was just a clone, he was still the earthly emperor. Before the earthly emperor died, he told the others about it. That's why everyone believed him. If it was someone else, would they have the same credibility? Hongyu, you've shown Fang Ping some small favors. Do you want us to forget the tens of millions of humans who died in the catacombs in the past 100 years? Zhang Tao's expression darkened. What do tens of millions of lives mean to you guys? But to us, they're our family, our compatriot. They died just like that. It's a joke because of the seed of rebirth. Today, tell me what the seed of rebirth is. Where did the humans get the seed of rebirth? I want to know what the thing that caused the humans to fight a bloody war for 100 years is. Fang Ping gave him a thumbs up and smiled. See, I was almost fooled. So, you guys are the source of our blood feud. Fang Ping's expression turned icy. He said coldly, Hongyu, I'm afraid you've never thought that the humans would seek revenge one day, right? In front of them, Luan looked around. For a moment, he did not know if he should continue to cause trouble for Hongyu. Hongyu stopped in his tracks. He looked at Fang Ping and the rest and said softly, the earthly emperor's clone is the earthly emperor's clone. Hongyu is Hongyu. The 9 paths are the 9 paths, don't mix them up. F*CKU. Fang Ping cursed. He did not look like a powerhouse at all. I killed your entire family. I'll change my identity and say that I'm not Fang Ping. Are you happy with that? I'll destroy the golden body and change my body. Then, I won't be Fang Ping anymore. I look down on people like you the most. If you dare to do it, you dare to admit it. You don't even dare to admit it yourself. You're worse than a dog. Fang Ping kept cursing. He hated these people's sophistry. I'm not me. I'm someone else. If you say that you don't remember anything, like old Wang and the rest, that you've completely lost your past and reincarnated, then you don't have to say anything. In the end, not only do you remember everything, but you're also one body. You're the same person. You're still denying everything and saying that you're not yourself. Fang Ping did not spit on his face because he was powerful. Zhang Tao laughed. Don't scold dogs. Dogs are humans' friends. If you scold them like that, they'll come after you. On the other side, Luan suddenly scolded, Dogs are your friends? Zhang Tao was tired. This guy looked like he was about to fall out with them. He said casually, just saying. You want to eat dog meat hot pot. Humans have it too. Do you need it? If you do, I can invite you to a dog meat feast. Luan was a little embarrassed. Humans were really shameless. They were just friends with dogs. Now, they were inviting her to eat dog meat. Hongyu looked calm. He ignored them and said, Fang Ping, what are you trying to do? Do you really want to fight me to the death before you stop? Fang Ping laughed. That's not it. Who knows what your strength is? I'm guessing that you're conservatively at peak 8. We might not be able to provoke you. But you're too powerful. Do you really dare to reveal your full strength? Unless you can kill everyone here. Otherwise, since you're so powerful, we'll kill you. Hongyu, think about it. If you break 7, we won't be polite anymore. If you break 8, we'll surround you and kill you. So, are you breaking 7 or 8 now? Hongyu laughed. I've heard that you're good with words, Fang Ping. I've learned a lot today. If that's the case, no matter what strength I have, I won't have a good ending, right? That's right. If I break 7, I won't become everyone's target, right? Your humans suppressing Heavenly King is stronger than me, isn't it? Fong Ping laughed. It's okay if you break 7, but you have a lot of saints, including the 2 kings, more than 10 saints. The threat is huge. I didn't build the heavenly court in the outside world, Fong Ping said disapprovingly. If you take over this heavenly court in the future, you'll be worse than pigs and dogs. You'll be struck by lightning when you walk, killed by rank 1 martial artists when you go out, poisoned emperors when you drink water, poisoned emperors when you inhale air. Fong Ping went on for more than a minute. With his strength, he could talk very fast. He had cursed more than 1,000 times. At this time, the 2 kings' faces were livid. Hong Yu sighed too. Fong Ping, you're also a heavenly king martial artist. Since the 3 realms were created, the period when there were the most heavenly kings was the period when there were only 100 of them. In the past 30 to 40,000 years, your strength is enough to be in the top 100. Is it really appropriate to curse like this? Beside him, Luan Du wanted to nod. He also liked to scold people, but no matter how he scolded, it was always the same few words, and he had repeated it for thousands of years. But this person really knew how to curse. He had to learn. As a bystander, he wanted to beat someone up when he heard it. Fong Ping said lazily, "Why not? Did I curse you? I was cursing that shameless bastard hiding behind my back. Why did you interrupt? Are you feeling guilty? Also, I'll say the same thing about who's going to look for the weapon master next. We'll watch from the space battlefield. We'll see who goes. Whoever goes is my son." Hong Yu shook his head and smiled. "Say it. What do you want? You kill the 2 kings yourself and hand over the saint token. Don't tell me you don't have it. You were in charge of the Earth Emperor God dynasty back then. You have countless treasures. You might even have the Heavenly King seal, right?" Luan Du hurriedly added, "It's fine if you don't want to hand me over. It's the same if you give me 3 to 5 divine weapons. I'll melt them and see what happens." Hong Yu laughed. He looked at Fong Ping and said slowly, "You want the saint token probably to stabilize your source world. Your emperor path has collapsed previously, but your combat strength is still very strong. The origin of the great Tao you used earlier doesn't seem to be compatible with your body. Could it be that you used Sherpo's origin to exchange for your own path? Could it be that the path you exchanged for couldn't withstand your strength and is showing signs of collapse? If that's the case, you need the saint token to suppress and stabilize it? If that's the case, your combat strength won't last long, right?" Hong Yu continued, "You chased after King Zhen previously but gave up in the end. You only asked him to hand over the Heavenly King's seal. Something must have gone wrong, right? If the Tao you exchanged for breaks again, will you die?" Hong Yu laughed. Fong Ping's expression kept changing. He spat in his heart. Hong Yu was smart. He had guessed most of it. But so what? Did he really think that he would die if his Tao broke and he would lose his combat strength? If he really thought that way, he would let him die without knowing how he died. Fong Ping was too lazy to say anything. He snorted. "Wishful thinking. Why don't you try and see if I will break my Tao? Will I die?" "Hong Yu, stop talking nonsense. I can't be bothered with what you want to do. Hand over the saint token and the Heavenly King's seal immediately. Otherwise, I'll fight you to the death today." "Aren't you afraid?" Fong Ping interrupted. "Afraid my **s. I'm just so free that I'll pester you. If you don't hand it over today, I promise you that I'll pester you until you can't do anything. Do you believe me? We'll pester you. The others won't interfere. Let's just watch the show." "Are you trying to be shameless with me?" Hong Yu's expression changed slightly. Fong Ping said generously, "That's right. I'm being shameless. Of course, if you're capable, you can kill us. Pretend I didn't say anything. If you're not capable and don't dare to reveal your strength, hand it over obediently. I don't have any plans to carry out in secret anyway. Humans don't have any plans either. We'll just deal with it when it comes." Hong Yu exhaled softly. After a while, he said, "You win. Fong Ping, remember this. Sometimes you can't win by pestering someone. I just don't want to be calculative with you about some things now." "You can be calculative then," Fong Ping sneered. Hong Yu laughed and shook his head again. He regained his composure. "We do have the saint token, but there's only one. There's no need to lie." 3. "There's only one." Hong Yu's voice turned colder. "Do you really want me to kill a few saints and get the saint token for you? If that's the case, why don't we start a war?" Fong Ping thought for a while and took a step back. 2. "Don't tell me we don't have any. Celestial plants and heavenly fate, each person is worth one. Money to buy their lives. Otherwise, they won't be able to leave today. Humans have powerhouses too. Not everyone can go against a heavenly king." Fong Ping nodded. "Go and kill them then. I'll be heartbroken and upset. I'll take revenge, but I won't compromise. They're too weak. They can't help us much now. Kill them and motivate me. Maybe I can break through 7 or 8 today." Fong Ping laughed. "People like us have put our heads on the edge of a knife. We've already made our decision. When they came in that day, go and ask them. Who wanted to go back alive? If they were afraid of death, there wouldn't be humans today." Hong Yu looked at him deeply, then at Zhang Tao. Suddenly, he laughed. "Martial King, are you the same?" Zhang Tao said calmly, "Whatever he says. I'm just a hired thug now. Don't ask me about anything else. Humans can live more freely if I follow him." "You're not afraid of death?" Zhang Tao laughed. "I am, but not as afraid as you guys. That's because we don't live long. It's a blessing for normal humans to live to 100 years old. I'm almost 100 years old. I've lived enough. I haven't lived to the level of an old tortoise yet." As soon as he said that, Dragon changed and the rest's expressions changed. He was scolding them too. "Interesting." Hong Yu laughed again. He waved his hand at Fong Ping. 2 saint tokens flew through the air. Then, he turned and left. "If you come again, you'll be forcing me to turn against you. Powerhouses will always be powerhouses. Sometimes there's no need to be so overbearing." Fong Ping took the 2 saint tokens. He sensed for a while. There was no increase in wealth. He laughed. "How can that be?" "Thank you, Emperor Hong Yu." "No, thank you, Emperor Nine Paths." His voice was loud, spreading in all directions. Fong Ping said loudly, "You have the demeanor of an emperor. Emperor Nine Paths, you deserve to rule the 3 realms. I won't submit to anyone in the 3 realms becoming an emperor. I'll submit to you. You've become an emperor. We humans will follow your lead. We'll fight whoever you want. Just give us some food to eat." "I'm serious. You've become an emperor. Don't forget about us humans." Hong Yu's chuckle was heard. He had already left. Behind him, Luan's eyeballs were rolling. How could this work? "Then, I'll give it a try too." "Hong Yu, don't run. Hand over the divine weapon. Otherwise, I'll pester you from now on." Luan chased after him. After a while, Fong Ping's pupils shrank. Luan walked out of the void. Without a word, he said casually, "Forget it. I won't bother with him. I'll go find someone else to play with." After saying that, Luan left quickly. At this moment, Fong Ping saw something. Luan's fists were trembling non-stop. In an instant, just as Luan chased after him, Hong Yu seemed to have made a move. In the blink of an eye, Luan had escaped. A fellow who could live until now, a fellow who could still live freely after offending Heavenly Hound, was not stupid. If he escaped, it meant that Hong Yu might have the ability to kill him. Zhang Tao's expression changed. He said softly, "Don't provoke him for now." Hong Yu did not attack Fong Ping and the rest because he was not afraid of Fong Ping and the rest. Fong Ping nodded. He said in a low voice, "Understood. Go find Sky Chief and get the remaining saint token. Ask Sky Chief to give me the Qingjin seal. Don't worry about anything else. Get ready to leave." Zhang Tao saw that he was no longer pestering him. He heaved a sigh of relief. He nodded and left quickly. At this time, Fang Ping had already obtained 19 saint orders. At this moment, Fang Ping still had 7 that he had yet to refine. How could he care about the others? He immediately sat down cross-legged on the spot and began to refine them. Dragon Change and Gong Juanzi guarded him. 7 saint tokens. Old Zhang had also gone to ask for a saint token and Heavenly King seal. Fang Ping felt that this was the end of this trip to the fake tomb of heaven. There were not many saint tokens left. The catacombs still had 6 tokens. Sky Chief's side had 2 tokens. He had 20 tokens now. Only 8 tokens were left outside. He did not know who had them. Chapter 12:22. Refinement and refinement again. One by one, Fang Ping finished refining the saint tokens. When Fang Ping refined the 5th of the 7 unrefined saint tokens, he had completed the 500-meter transformation. When Fang Ping was still refining the last 2 saint tokens, Zhang Tao came back. At this moment, the 3 of them looked at the faintly discernible Fang Ping with surprise. Seeing Zhang Tao come back, Long Huan said in a low voice, "Fang Ping's state gives me a strange feeling." "What's wrong?" "I can't say." Fang Ping concealed his aura, so Long Huan could not feel it clearly. "Still," he said, "his golden body seems to be getting stronger, as if there is no limit. At our level, we should all know that there is a limit to the golden body. Once it reaches a certain point, it can no longer be improved. I'm a demon. My golden body is considered one of the more powerful ones of the same rank. But Fang Ping gives me the feeling that his golden body might be stronger than mine." Long Huan murmured, vaguely, "It has the feeling of those beginner martial artists who proved their Tao with their physiques." He had seen beginner martial artists before, and quite a few of them. The feeling Fang Ping gave him was the same feeling he had when he met beginner martial artists. At this moment, Fang Ping's physique was a little illusory. It was not illusory, but his physique was transforming into an inexplicable state. Long Huan thought for a while and said in a low voice, "When beginner martial artists reach the Heavenly King realm, under normal circumstances, they are all powerhouses who have broken 6. Zhang Tao looked at him. Long Huan explained, "When beginner martial artists prove their Heavenly King realm, they usually have jade bones, and their physique will change. In other words, their saints are like rank 9 to peak, they will complete a qualitative change at that time." Zhang Tao said in a low voice, "You're saying that if a powerhouse with a 4 million calories vitality strength completes their jade bones, they will directly become a Heavenly King powerhouse with 8 million calories vitality after completing their jade bones?" "That's right." Long Huan nodded and said, "That's right. That's why among beginner martial artists, once a saint powerhouse proves their Heavenly King realm, they will not be weak. Of course, there are people who did not transform their jade bones and forcefully broke through the limit of broken 6. These people forcefully break through the limit, and when their jade bones are completed, they will be even more powerful." He did not say much about this. He looked at Fang Ping's dazzling golden body. This golden color seemed to be slightly dimmer than before. Not dimmer, but more transparent. Dragon Change asked hesitantly, "Is Fang Ping thinking of forging jade bones?" "But for us of the origin lineage, forging jade bones is as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Even if someone were to think about it, they would only think about it after breaking the 7th pinnacle. Before that, it would be extremely difficult." Zhang Tao shook his head. He did not know Fang Ping's condition. After Fang Ping severed his own Tao, he could not understand it anymore. At this moment, Fang Ping suddenly opened his eyes and said, "Did you get it?" "Yes, I did. A sage token and Sky Emperor seal. Oldly scolded you quite a bit. Feel free to scold me." Fang Ping did not mind. Let him do whatever he wanted. He quickly spent some wealth points to condense his origin chi. Only then did he say, "Leave it to me." After obtaining so many saint tokens and heavenly king seals, Fang Ping's total wealth had exceeded 200 billion points. It had even reached 300 billion points. However, Fang Ping's consumption was also huge. In order to fill up the source world, he had used up an astronomical amount of origin chi. The further he went, the greater the consumption. After receiving another saint token and heavenly king seal from Old Zhang, Fang Ping was delighted. 20 saint tokens and 4 heavenly king seals. This time, he had almost plundered all the treasures in the fake sky grave clean. 600 meters. It should be no problem. Fang Ping exhaled. He felt a headache coming on. What should he do in the future? There were still 16 saint tokens and 4 heavenly king seals outside. Even if he seized all of them, could he go above 1,000 meters? What would happen after he reached 1,000 meters? How far could he go after seizing the 9 emperor seals? What about after that? Could he become an emperor? Although it was a far-fetched thought, Fang Ping could not help but think about it. In the fake sky grave, Fang Ping was refining the last of his gains. In the catacombs, on top of a tall mountain, Saber Kuang, who had been here for a few days, was currently cultivating with his eyes closed. His flesh was glowing green. After becoming a saint for many years, he was now working hard to achieve jade bones. Once his jade bones were formed, he would be a beginner martial god. At that time, he would no longer be a vanguard, but an overlord, an existence that could create his own sect. However, even if it was easier for beginner martial artists to forge jade bones, not everyone could do it. His body had become a saint for many years, but for 10,000 years, he still could not touch the realm of jade bones. At this moment, Saber Kuang suddenly opened his eyes. "Come out!" A clear shout rang out in all directions. Saber Kuang, who was trembling slightly before, was now full of energy and unparalleled strength. A figure appeared 1,000 meters away. King Huai bowed and said, "The Heavenly Court's new 36 saints, Tianxiao, greets you, sir." New 36 saints. Saber Kuang's eyes revealed a hint of mockery. Which of the 36 saints in the past was not a powerful saint powerhouse? Now, in this new heavenly court, a mere true god could be conferred the title of a saint. He knew of King Huai. He had seen this person when he went to the heavenly court. At this moment, Saber Kuang said coldly, "What business do you have here?" "Sir Saber Kuang, the weapon master asked me to come." Saber Kuang felt uncomfortable. These fellows from the new heavenly court all called themselves ancient powerhouses. It took him a while to understand who was who. King Huai did not care about that. He continued, "The weapon master asked me to contact you, sir. If the beginner martial lineage makes any moves, it's best to inform you in advance to avoid accidents and conflicts." As he spoke, he added, "Also, the weapon master thinks it's best if you leave the Forbidden Land and go to the Forbidden Sea." Saber Kuang frowned. His aura surged, pressuring King Huai until his face turned pale. However, he still smiled and said, "There's no need to be angry, sir. We just stopped fighting with the humans not long ago. Sir Tiangue died, and we suffered great losses. If you launch an operation against the humans in the Forbidden Land now, I'm afraid it will cause some misunderstandings." Saber Kuang snorted. "You know we're enemies, but you don't even have the guts to offend us. This is the Heavenly Court. The new Heavenly Court was too disappointing. What a bunch of cowards. They were afraid of causing misunderstandings, so they asked him to leave and act from the bitter sea." King Huai smiled and said, "Please forgive me, sir. I'm just following orders. Please don't be angry, sir. I can't make the decision on this matter. It's just that the others were unwilling to come. I'm too weak, so I had to accept this mission. Please don't be calculative with me, sir." King Huai smiled ingratiatingly. Saber Kuang glanced at him with disdain. At the level of a true god, Such cowardice was the end of this person. Ordinary true gods, even if they feared the saints, would not be so obsequious. Moreover, this was the territory of the new heavenly court. Saber Kwang said coldly, "What did Heavenly Sword and the others say about the cooperation?" "Sir," King Huai's face was bitter. He said in a low voice, "Sir, this is a decision that only the 9 lords can make." "I speak." King Huai was helpless. He said carefully, "Sir, the weapon master and the other lords mean not to interfere, but not to participate either. Especially before, when the heavenly kings died, the lords are even more worried that something might happen. They won't participate rashly. But don't worry, sir. If the other bloodlines of the other sovereigns send reinforcements, the lords will do their best to delay them." "Humph!" Saber Kwang snorted again. There was a hint of mockery. It was unclear whether he was mocking Heavenly Sword and the others or King Huai. These words were probably not the original words of Heavenly Sword and the others. Now, this King Huai threw them all out. As expected, he was a coward. "You can get lost now." Saber Kwang did not want him to waste time. He closed his eyes and continued to cultivate. King Huai's face was full of struggle. He said in a low voice, "Sir, the lords mean it's best if you leave now. I'm here to send you off. I've already built a palace on an island at the edge of the Forbidden Sea." Saber Kwang suddenly opened his eyes. Golden light shone from them. He said coldly, "You want me to leave?" I don't dare. King Huai said bitterly. "I don't dare. I'm just a true god. I don't dare to offend you, sir. You're a powerhouse who killed a saint in ancient times. I can't wait to curry favor with you. But I'm only following orders. If the 9 lords won't let me off easily." King Huai was extremely anxious. Suddenly, he gritted his teeth and knelt with a thud. He begged for mercy. "Sir, it wasn't easy for me to cultivate to this level. Now that the heavenly court is being rebuilt, I'm weak. I don't dare to accept other dangerous missions. If I don't do this well, I'm afraid I won't be able to establish myself in the heavenly court. If you're willing to help me this once, I'll obey you obediently in the future. The Chu Wu lineage has just entered the 3 realms. Although you're strong, there's always something you can use me for. I'm extremely grateful that you've helped me get through this. If you need me in the future, I'll do my best." A true god knelt just like that. Saber Kwang was stunned. Then, he felt infinite contempt. This was an origin true god? Humiliation. Someone like this could cultivate to the true god realm? However, this person's words were not without reason. He had just arrived and did not know much about the current situation. If he had a native true god to cooperate with him, it would not be bad. The weak did not know much. It was difficult to subdue the strong. This true god powerhouse was considered a high-ranking person. He would know many things. This person was a good chess piece. Saber Kwang thought to himself. He did not know that many people thought the same as him. Back then, when King Huai joined the divine sect and became one of the 72 true gods, it was more or less a repeat of this scene. Back then, when he secretly defected to the Life King, it was more or less the same. When he interacted with King Feng, it was slightly better, but he still had to bow and scrape. In the end, the forces that he defected to were either destroyed or scattered. The powerhouses that defected to him were also mostly dead. Only he, King Huai, was still King Huai. He even snuck into the current heavenly court and became one of the 36 saints. King Huai himself had forgotten how many people he had bowed and scraped to in this life. He had also forgotten how many people he had defected to in this life. Ever since he was a slave, he had been struggling. When he was weak, he didn't even come into contact with martial arts. He began to struggle. When the 2 slave masters were fighting, he betrayed his master and defected to the other side. He worked like a slave and got his hands on a secret martial arts manual, starting his own martial arts path. Rank 1, Rank 2, from slave to family general, from family general to servant of powerhouses and aristocratic families. From aristocratic family servant to outer sect disciple of sections. From outer sect disciple to servant of powerhouses descendants, step by step, he walked from a remote place to the core of the divine continent. Along the way, he was either a hired thug or a slave. He worked like a slave, just to become a little stronger and a little safer. He was too afraid of death. Afraid of death, he did not want to die. What dignity, what face, those were not important. He had betrayed too many people. He had countless masters, and now 99% of them were dead. Those who did not die probably did not dare to mention that they were once King Huai's master. Throughout the entire catacombs, for the past 3,000 years, he had been the one with the lowest starting point. But King Huai had still become a true god and become an overlord of the catacombs. If not for the revival of these old antiques, perhaps he would have lived a better life. He had contact with Life Kings, was one with Heavenly Plant's royal court, and cooperated with humans. Perhaps in the end, he would be the big winner. But now, these old antiques had appeared. At this moment, King Huai felt that his strength was not enough. He had returned to the stage of trembling in fear and precarious days. At this moment, he was afraid. Afraid, he could only become stronger. This was King Huai. Huaiing. Like a shadow, he lived in the three realms. He was not too eye-catching, but he was also safe. No one paid attention to him, but he was also dangerous. He knelt at will. What was dignity? The winner was the one who lived to the end. King Huai knelt, his head lowered, not daring to look at Dao Quang. He trembled with fear, and his attitude was undoubtedly that of a nobody. Because he was a nobody. From the beginning to the end. He also did not want to be a big shot. The big shots were all dead. Life Kings who wanted to unify the catacombs were dead, Devil Emperors who wanted to break fate were dead, and the domineering sky-sealing bloodline were almost all dead. Many of the saints had died in one go, who wanted to be a big shot. Kneeling on the ground, King Huai said in a humble tone, "Sir, can you move overseas? I will be very grateful." Dao Quang suddenly had no interest in arguing with him. He said lightly, "Sky Sword and the others, the more they live, the worse they are. They don't dare to come themselves, but they sent a dog like you to chase them away." Of course, he understood what he meant. King Huai was sent by them to supervise him and escort him out of the territory. But Sky Sword and the others probably did not expect this guy to be so weak. King Huai smiled, not daring to respond. His performance was flawless, because this was not the first time he had acted out this scene all these years. Or rather, there was no need to act. He had always been like this, he was like this. He played out his own real life. Why did he need to act? There was no flaw to speak of. Dao Quang sneered again. A true god. A true god of the source. Such a person had actually become a true god. For a moment, he was really curious. He said with a smile, "How many years have you been a true god?" 300 years. You can also prove your Tao? I find it strange. Is it so easy to prove the Tao of the source now? King Huai said dryly, "I also have some opportunities. Usually, I help some powerhouses run errands. Things that the lords don't care about are also treasures to me. 300 years ago, I met Lord Fate King by chance. Lord Fate King asked me to provide him with some information about the Sky Plant's royal court, and I agreed. After that, I obtained some benefits from Lord Fate King, and finally proved my Tao as a true god." He did not lie. At this moment, his face was full of flattery. He said with a smile, "I don't have a good reputation, but I'm of low birth and don't have much ability. I can only do these things. If you need me in the future, as long as it's not a matter of life and death, I can help you run errands. If you like me, you can reward me with some treasures that you don't need. For me, it's also a great opportunity." Ha ha ha. Dao Quang laughed so hard that tears were coming out. This was too interesting. You're interesting. Dao Kuang stood up. His hunched back in the heavenly court was now straight. He took a step forward and stepped in front of King Huai. He said calmly, "If you want to work for me, not everyone can." Before he could finish his sentence, King Huai was incomparably respectful. He hurriedly stretched out his sleeves and meticulously wiped his golden boot. "What instructions do you have for me, my lord?" "I just want to live a few more years, nothing more, Dao Kuang." At this moment, this powerhouse from the Chua continent did not know what to say. King Huai had won. He really did not want to attack such a lowly person. However, this kind of person also had his good points. He knew how to be tactful. If the Tao of the Source was this kind of person, would there still be a need to attack the Ash Cat? There was no need at all. Unfortunately, there were too few of such people. "Get up." "Thank you, my lord." King Huai got up, his body hunched, and his face was full of smiles. "My lord, do you think, you can come to my palace? I've already arranged everything. This place is too desolate, how can it be worthy of my lord's status?" Dao Kuang said coldly, "At our realm, do martial artists still care about accidents? Of course, you're not a martial artist, maybe you are, but don't even think about becoming a powerhouse." King Huai said respectfully, "I don't want to become a powerhouse either. Although powerhouses are glorious, it's too dangerous. These years I've seen through it. Powerhouses die too quickly, and too many die. I just want to live, interesting." Dao Kuang smiled faintly. "Maybe in the end you'll really live on. Powerhouses won't even bother to kill a lowly person like you." King Huai smiled and did not say much. At this moment, he was very close to Dao Kuang. Dao Kuang was not afraid that he would have any ulterior motives. If he had to be wary of such a person, then he could forget about living. A true god, not to mention this kind of trash, even a powerhouse among true gods would not be able to break his physical body if he ambushed him. "Since Sky Sword and the others do not welcome me, this old man will not make things difficult for you." Dao Kuang walked in the air and said faintly, "Lead the way. Find the sea closest to that cat." "My lord, please." King Huai bowed and stood behind Dao Kuang, not daring to overstep. He stood at his side, bowed, and led the way for Dao Kuang. Dao Kuang walked in the air with his hands behind his back. As he walked, he said, "Previously, there were heavenly kings and sages that fell. Do you know who it was? When the demon emperor fell, some people guessed that it was reverse heaven. The 9 lords did not say, and I didn't dare to ask. However, when the sky changed the most, some people guessed that it was Fong Ping. King Human King Fong Ping fell. King Human King had the bearing of an emperor, cultivated for 3 years, killed a sage, and was shockingly talented. That time, when the Great Path collapsed, I'm afraid it was Human King. Fong Ping." Dao Kuang smiled faintly. "That's a pity. I've heard of him. When I came to the land boundary, I knew that this person was overbearing and was on good terms with that cat. I wanted to meet him, but it seems like there's no chance now." King Huai said respectfully, "My lord, your body has become a sage. Although Fong Ping is talented, he is still inexperienced. If he meets you, I'm afraid he will not be your match. His famous golden body will not stand a chance against you, my lord." "Of course," Dao Kuang said faintly, "before becoming an emperor, how can the origin path compare to the novice martial path? But how many people become emperors? If a novice martial deity can take the last step and become an emperor, they can defeat the 9 emperors and 4 emperors." Dao Kuang's words were overbearing, and King Huai hurriedly said, "My lord, you are right. I see that your golden body is powerful, and you may soon become a heavenly king. If you can reach that step, I hope that you can help me." Dao Kuang said faintly, "The position of a deity is close at hand. However, to break the limit and become a novice martial emperor, you overestimate me." Although he was mad, Some things could not be said carelessly. The novice martial lineage had no emperor. The strongest was the limit. No one could break this limit. Of course, there might be someone who could, the one who created the origin. He was also a novice martial artist. However, after the Battle of the Myriad Daos, no one mentioned him anymore. He was no longer a novice martial artist. King Huai hurriedly slapped his mouth and said with a smile, "My lord is right, I spoke too much. Don't worry, my lord, I will only say so in front of you. I dare not speak nonsense outside." Tactful. This was the thought that came to Dao Kuang again. Really tactful. This King Huai was very interesting. King Huai smiled ingratiatingly. In the origin world, the great paths began to move slowly. Dao Kuang was very strong. Not bad. Killing Dao Kuang might give him some unexpected gains. Dao Kuang was not his name, but a title. A powerhouse who used the saber had probably lived for 30,000 years. King Huai was thinking, how strong was the saber he nurtured? Could it meet his requirements and suppress those Daos? Not only that, Dao Kuang seemed to be about to achieve jade bones. This body was a treasure. If he extracted the strength of his body, could he increase the strength of his body? King Huai thought a lot, but it was not obvious. He was very close to where Li Chongqing was hiding. Dao Kuang was a powerhouse with a weak mentality. King Huai's sudden appearance was to test him. When Dao Kuang discovered him, he was very close to him. Of course, he might have discovered it long ago, but he did not say it. At most, I can sense it within 100 miles. Li Chongqing can slash with all his strength within 20 miles. Crossing 100 miles is only a step. King Huai simulated it again and again. How could he make a move to kill Dao Kuang in one blow? After that, how could he clear his name? He was getting closer and closer to Old Manly. At the same time, where the new heavenly court was, Sky Sword frowned slightly. Dao Kuang left? Was he going to leave the land realm, or to receive the people from the Chu mainland? Forget it, let him be. Sky Sword shook his head slightly. It was best if he left. Fang Ping had killed King Sun. At this moment, he was still a little frightened. It was not a good thing to be enemies with the humans now. He had to at least wait for the heavenly court to have a heavenly king powerhouse, then think about it. Dao Kuang leaving saved him some trouble. Just as Dao Kuang was about to reach the place where Old Manly was lying in ambush, inside the fake sky grave, Fang Ping's body shook slightly. Golden light flickered constantly on his body, faintly revealing the color of jade. At this moment, Fang Ping opened his eyes. Refining complete. 20 saint tokens and 4 heavenly king seals, all refined. At this moment, if Fang Ping did not conceal his aura, he would be extremely terrifying. Wealth. 50 billion points vitality. 2,900,000 calories. 2,900,000 calories. Mentality. 21,999 Hz. 21,999 Hz. Origin path. Plus 150% external path, source world. 650 meters combat techniques. God-slaying sword techniques, plus 9%. Combat technique combination deduction. 1 million points / time strength control. 80% extreme outburst. 600-8800 cal / 7511000 cal. Shockingly powerful. At least, that was what Fang Ping thought. Every time he expanded the diameter of 100 meters, it was an increase of 11% on the original basis. The bigger the base, the more strength he would gain. At 900 meters, according to Fang Ping's calculations, the base would probably be about 4 million calories, slightly stronger than the cat, but generally not much different. My vitality has changed twice. After 900 meters, there's not much difference between me and the cat. This cat, at this moment, Fang Ping had a vague, strange feeling in his heart. What kind of problem caused it? Could it be that this cat was also a ninth forging golden body? The possibility was not small. No, it should be. 9 Forging golden body. The cat should have changed once, but this cat was too lazy to scare people, so it might not feel anything. Anyway, it did not care whether it was strong or not. 9 Forging golden body offset it once, then it's about the same as me. Could it be that this cat has also forged jade bones? Fong Ping raised his eyebrows, not too sure. What did the cat's bones look like? No one knew. Anyway, this cat did not fight very much, and it seemed like no one had broken its flesh. Other than the time it was attacked, who knew whether this cat had a golden body or jade bones? If it had forged jade bones, then it would have changed twice, and it would be the same as Fong Ping. This cat did not forge jade bones, then it's something else. Maybe it's caused by mentality? Fong Ping had some guesses in his heart again. The cat's mentality was definitely not weak, this was inevitable. When mentality reached a certain realm, would it also undergo a qualitative change? If the cat did not successfully forge jade bones, then its mentality had changed, causing some changes in its source world, resulting in a qualitative change. That was why it was the same as Fong Ping. Fat Cat might not even know, sigh. Fong Ping was speechless. When Fat Cat reached 1,000 meters, maybe it would change again, but it might not happen to him, because his peak had changed once. If that's the case, if I want to strengthen my flesh quickly, then it's either jade bones or mentality. Nowadays, only the Chua lineage has forging jade bone. The 4 emperors have it, but I don't know where old Wang has gone. I really have to meet him. No, I'm afraid Old Li knows it too. Countless thoughts arose in Fong Ping's mind. The next moment, he got up, and accidentally broke through space. The pupils of Zhang Tao and the others shrunk. Gong Juanzi's teeth were shivering. Breaking through the 6th heavenly layer? Damn it. That wasn't his full strength, right? That meant that he had advanced a lot in the 6th heavenly layer. Get ready to go. Fong Ping was too lazy to say anything. Right now, his control had slipped a lot. Sooner or later, he would have to destroy the borrowed Tao. Only then could he really improve his control. Old Zhang said, "Leaving now?" "That's right." Fong Ping walked in the air. "I've taken what I wanted. I can play with them some other time, but forget it now. We don't have strong people in the outside world, and it's easy to get into trouble." Chu seems to have appeared. "Return as soon as possible." Zhang Tao nodded, and then could not help but say, "If I go back now, should I retire?" "Sure, I'll set a small goal for you. When you kill a martial emperor one day, you can retire." Old Zhang was speechless. Fong Ping said again, "Cherish the time you have now. I've wanted to beat you up since a long time ago. I feel that I'm not far from it. You have to break through 7th heaven as soon as possible. Otherwise, before that, you might get beaten up by me." His limit and old Zhang's limit should not be too far apart now. The only difference was the problem of control. If old Zhang did not work hard to improve, Fong Ping felt that he might surpass him soon and beat him up. This was a goal that he had set for a few years. Fong Ping had to achieve it. Zhang Tao's expression darkened. A huge sense of crisis arose in his heart. If I, Zhang Tao, am beaten up by this kid, then I can forget about living. I can't afford to lose face. P.S. 7,500 words of a big chapter. Only 2 chapters today. Let's get over it. Tomorrow, we'll leave the fake sky grave and start a new journey. Chapter 12:23. The Catacombs. King Huai was still respectfully leading Kuang Dao forward. Kuang Dao floated in the air for a while, then suddenly frowned and stopped. King Huai hurriedly said, "My lord, wait." Kuang Dao frowned. At this moment, a long saber appeared in his hand like white jade. The long saber trembled slightly. Kuang Dao frowned and turned to look at King Huai. King Huai stared at the saber for a while with a puzzled expression, a little envious. Kuang Dao gently stroked the long saber, and turned to look at the core of the catacombs. That was where the heavenly court was, very far away. But there was still a rising aura there, and the pressure of the 9 paths saints was still there. Kwang Dao's long saber was still trembling, and King Huai was slightly nervous. At this moment, Kwang Dao's heart skipped a beat, and a token on his chest vibrated. Taking out the token, Kwang Dao gently stroked it for a while, then exhaled and said lightly, "It's fine, let's continue." "Yes." King Huai did not dare to say more, but stared at the token. It seemed to be a treasure. Seeing this, Kwang Dao said lightly, "The 3 realms is too big." In ancient times, powerhouses traveled across continents, and the distance was extremely far. But now, the heavenly and earthly realms are destroyed. Today's earthly realms are just a piece of barren land from the past. Kwang Dao still looked down on the current catacombs. The current earthly realms were much smaller than the earthly realms of the past. Although it did not look small, to powerhouses, such a small place would only take a moment to travel from one side to the other. The earthly realms were created by powerhouses to communicate with each other because they were too far away. King Huai understood and said with admiration. Lord Huai understood and said in admiration, "We have obtained some of these treasures from some ancient ruins in the past, but if we want to imitate them, it is difficult to succeed. Moreover, they are not suitable for use. I didn't expect that Milord would have such treasures." That being said, King Huai's heart skipped a beat. There was a distance limit to this thing. Kwang Dao actually received a message here. What did this mean? It meant that there were novice martial artists not far from here. Looks like the first martial artists' reinforcements have arrived. King Huai did not know exactly how far, but he was still nervous. Should he give up on the plan? Sure enough, the other party came very quickly. But to give up now? King Huai felt helpless. If he gave up, Li Chongqing might not necessarily give up. Once the beginner martial artists arrived, they would immediately go to the human world. He knew this, and so did Li Chongqing. Since that was the case, killing Blade Frenzy was a must. At the side, Dao Quang did not bother about him. At this moment, he heaved a sigh of relief. Someone is coming. After so many years, it was not that no one from the Chu Wu mainland wanted to come to the catacombs, and it was not that no one wanted to come to the human world. However, in the past few years, a few disciples had left the Chu Wu continent, and almost no one had returned. The Sea of Bitterness was too dangerous. The distance was far, and ordinary true gods might not be able to cross the Sea of Bitterness easily. It was not that there were no powerhouses. 1,000 years ago, there were beginner martial artists with saint-level combat power who left the mountains, but in the end they never returned. Back then, those gods with the battle prowess of a heavenly king were either in seclusion or cultivating. Moreover, there were many small worlds above the Sea of Bitterness. King Kun and the others were all there. Even some clear-headed gods did not choose to leave the Chu Wu continent. Until recently, when those people left, the Chu Wu continent tried to let people go out to sea again. And he, Dao Quang, was the vanguard. He was fine now, and Dao Quang had also received news that a few gods had made a move. The hidden origin powerhouse had been lured out, and now he was surrounded and killed by a few beginner martial gods. The sacred martial continent's reinforcements were about to arrive. Dao Quang was delighted, but he also secretly rejoiced that there really was a origin powerhouse ambushing a beginner martial god. Previously, he was also nervous. He could only comfort himself that it was an accident. He had successfully arrived at the catacombs, and he really thought it was an accident. He did not expect to still lure out a powerhouse. It's actually a heavenly king powerhouse. No wonder none of those people returned alive. As Dao Quang thought about this, he was getting closer and closer to the place where Li Chongqing was lying in ambush. King Huai's origin world was also changing rapidly. At this moment, King Huai was taking advantage of the fact that the other party did not have a origin and could not feel the fluctuation of the origin. Otherwise, he would not have dared to change his origin near a saint-level powerhouse. This was King Huai's first time trying to connect to the origin Tao. It was different from Zhang Tao's Tao fusion, different from Life King's Tao, and even more different from Fang Ping's Tao borrowing. All these years, King Huai had gone from being a slave to a true king. He had experienced too much and seen too much. All these years, he had come into contact with the great Tao of many geniuses. Connecting the great Tao was the method used by Life King. He also continued the Tao, but the method was completely different. At this moment, if someone was in his origin world, they would be able to see a shocking scene. King Huai was shifting some of the great Tao. He had dozens of great Tao. Previously, it was the main Tao, and the other great Tao were distributed around it, not interfering with each other. But now, King Huai was forcibly shifting his own great Tao. The main Tao was in the center, becoming the center of the circle. The other great Tao were like points, distributed around the center of the circle in a circle. At first, there were more than 30 parallel straight lines, but now, King Huai was forcibly bending the surrounding great Tao, making the ends of the great Tao close to his own main Tao. In this way, it would eventually form a new scaffold-like Tao. This was what King Huai was doing. He connected more than 30 great Tao with the main Tao. Originally, if he took the second Tao, the increase would be reduced by half. Before 1,000 meters, the second Tao would not even increase. But what King Huai thought was that if he stuck these other great Tao to the main Tao, then it might be related to the main Tao, and there would also be an increase. In the origin world, some great Tao was forcibly distorted by him, tilted, and approached the main Tao. This was a matter of great risk. The slightest carelessness could cause the great Tao to collapse, the origin to collapse, and one's Tao to vanish. But King Huai didn't care about this. In these years, he had spied on the great Tao of some peerless heavens chosen. If it was too long, he might not be able to control it, but he had only tasted it, and walked a very short distance. In King Huai's view, their great Tao should be very stable, and wouldn't easily collapse. If it was too long, then it was hard to say. If it was only a short 100 meters or so, and it still collapsed, then it meant that such a Tao wasn't all that great. Everyone had their own beliefs, their own Tao. If someone dared to try, then they could walk a different path. Of course, to walk a different path, the price to pay was also very high. 99% of people died on the first step. King Huai didn't know whether or not he would die, but the more he feared death, the more he didn't want to die. The more he didn't want to die, the more he wanted to try this adventure, and perhaps he could fight for a future. Rumble! A crisp sound rang out, and the essence trembled. A short great Tao began to tilt, instantly moving closer to his main Tao. At this moment, King Huai's aura was slightly turbulent. Beside him, Mad Blade turned his head and glanced at him. King Huai was shocked, but he pretended to be calm and said embarrassedly, "My lord, your saber's aura is too strong. I feel a little dangerous, and can't help but circulate my energy to resist the pressure." Mad Blade held the long saber in his hand, and when he heard this, he said disdainfully, "This old man has nurtured this saber for 30,000 years. It's a beginner Tao, and your origin world is different. In our lives, we will only nurture one weapon. When we are weak, we use qi, blood, energy, and spiritual sense to nurture it. In between, we constantly add in heavenly materials and earthly treasures, smelting them, and forging them into the most suitable companion divine weapon. This is a true weapon, a divine weapon. It's not like your origin world, letting outsiders forge weapons, relying on external objects, and not the body itself. Our weapons are like a part of our bodies." Mad Blade had a sense of superiority over beginner Tao martial artists. This was because beginner Tao martial artists were almost invincible existences among their peers. Origin Tao martial artists, even if they were the same rank and had comparable combat power, there was a limit to the amplification of origin world. one's control over power would also decline. Beginner Tao martial artists generally would not have low control over power. In their lives, they only polished their physical body or mental strength, and did not need to think too much about other things. And Origin Tao martial artists had too many things to do. Developing Origin Great Tao, tempering the physical body, tempering spiritual sense, controlling power. When King Huai heard this, he said in admiration, "My lord is right. My lord's companion divine saber, in this lowly one's opinion, is probably not inferior to a divine artifact." Divine artifact? Mad Blade smiled coldly and said, "The most important point of a divine artifact is to cut the origin. But divine artifacts to us are nothing more than a slightly sharper weapon, relying only on the material. Other aspects, in this old man's eyes, are nothing." When King Huai heard this, he hurriedly nodded and said, "That's right, my lord is right. The beginner Tao martial lineage does not cultivate origin." Mad Blade's expression changed slightly, and he did not continue the conversation. There were some things that King Huai did not understand. In the beginner Tao martial lineage, there were actually not many pure beginner Tao martial artists now. Many people also walked the Origin Great Tao. The second-generation beginner Tao martial artists were still alright, but there were also a lot of third- and fourth-generation beginner Tao martial artists who walked the Origin Great Tao. There were also some disputes within the beginner Tao martial artists, and some beginner Tao martial artists had already completely given up on the glory of beginner Tao martial arts. And the four emperors were the true idols of these beginner Tao martial artists, the targets that they wanted to chase after. Because the four emperors walked extremely deep on the beginner Tao, after combining origin, only then did they become the four emperors of the extreme Tao, and became powerhouses that could stand shoulder to shoulder with the emperor realm. As King Huai spoke, he continued to complete the construction of the great Tao. But at this moment, he was much more careful, and did not dare to stick the great Tao one by one to the main great Tao. Instead, he moved the other great Taos together, moving them bit by bit, wanting to complete such a change in an instant. As for whether or not his physical body would explode in the end, or whether or not the origin enhancement would reach his expectations, King Huai could not care less at this time. King Huai was afraid that Mad Blade would notice him, and at this moment, he opened his mouth again and said, "My lord, this lowly one has some things, but I don't know if I should ask." Mad Blade had nothing to do, so he said indifferently, "Go ahead." Beginner Tao martial lineage, physical body cultivators, without the origin enhancement, can stand shoulder to shoulder with some heavenly king powerhouses. Doesn't this mean that their physical strength alone can shatter the sixth heaven? But according to what this lowly one knows, in our origin lineage, even heavenly kings might not be as strong as some beginner martial venerables. Heavenly king powerhouses are so powerful, so why can't their physical strength continue to increase? Mad Blade said indifferently, "These things have long been explored in ancient times. Since you asked, this old man doesn't mind telling you. It's because of the origin. The origin is rejected by the powerhouses of the myriad Tao because of this. Blindly borrowing external strength, neglecting one's own strength. What is the purpose of creating the martial Tao? To strengthen oneself." Mad Blade snorted lightly and said, "But ever since the origin appeared, you origin lineage martial artists are used to taking shortcuts. Opening up a great Tao can easily double or even multiply your strength. In the end, you become a weakling. Your lifespan is not as long as beginner martial artists, and the development of your body has not reached the peak. Not only that, the origin Tao may not be a good Tao. This Tao actually rejects the development of one's own strength." Mad Blade had lived for close to 30,000 years and knew too many things. At this moment, he sneered and said, "The one who opened the origin Tao back then may not have had good intentions. The origin Tao and the development of one's own potential are in great conflict. The origin is actually suppressing you. The Origin Tao has already turned from guest to host, but you people ignore the essentials and only seek temporary strength, not considering the long-term development of the martial Tao. Beginner martial artists are different. They have always insisted on developing their own strength. This is the true pure martial Tao. Then is there no limit to beginner martial artists? King Huai said bitterly, when I was in the Golden Body realm, it was difficult to improve the strength of the Golden Body after fifth refinement and walk on the Origin Tao. For today's martial artists, perhaps many are forced to do so because it is extremely difficult to develop their bodies. King Huai felt a little emotional at this time. After fifth refinement, many people could no longer continue. They had no choice but to advance to rank 9 and walk on the Origin Tao. If the Golden Body could continue to grow stronger, they might not necessarily have to walk on the Origin Tao. Mad Blade said lightly, that is because you Origin lineage powerhouses are selfish and destroyed everything that belongs to beginner martial artists. Otherwise, for beginner martial inheritances, the 9th refinement may be difficult, but the 7th refinement or 8th refinement is still possible. After that, it was a matter of painstaking work. Experts were all molded by time. The Origin lineage is eager for quick success and is unwilling to waste time on this. They cannot resist the temptation of great power, so of course they find it difficult. When you step into the Origin Tao, it will be too late to polish yourself. Because of the suppression of the Origin, it is more than 10 times harder to polish yourself. King Huai nodded and said respectfully, Sir, is there no way to have the best of both worlds? Not only can you strengthen yourself, but you won't be disturbed by the Origin, and you can also borrow strength from the Origin. Wouldn't that make the martial path even more perfect? Mad Blade said lightly, many powerhouses had this idea in the past, and they all tried it, but the results proved that it was almost impossible. These two things are mutually exclusive. At this old man's realm, even if I want to open up the Origin Tao, I can't. Forcibly opening up the Origin Tao will only cause me to suffer a backlash. King Huai continued to nod, but he was a little nervous in his heart. Almost there. If he got a little closer, Mad Blade might sense Li Chongqing. And in his source world, at this time, the Great Tao and the main Tao were only separated by a thin line. If he got closer, there would probably be a lot of movement. At this time, King Huai suddenly said, Sir, I wonder if Sir can teach this lowly one the method of refining the beginner martial path. Mad Blade was stunned for a moment, then he sneered and said with a face full of mockery, do you think this seat is too easy to talk to? Teach you? Who do you think you are? Sir, this lowly one can change, King Huai hurriedly said. This lowly one has been running around all these years and learned a lot of top secret. Because the royal court is the legacy of the Demon Emperor God dynasty, I even know some secrets about the earthly sovereign. One of them is related to the location of the earthly sovereign's remains. Mad Blade's expression changed. The earthly sovereign's remains? Yes. King Huai looked around for a while, then said in a low voice, I learned this from King Feng. King Feng, sir, you may not know this, but he is a direct descendant of King Tianji and King Tianming, and these two kings were big shots in the Demon Emperor God dynasty in the past. Back then, this lowly one sought refuge with King Feng and learned some secrets. King Huai's voice became softer and softer, and Mad Blade could not help but shout, Continue. Sir, about the cultivation method. Noisy. If there is merit, you will naturally be rewarded. At this moment, Mad Blade's attention was completely attracted by the earthly sovereign. The location of the earthly sovereign's remains? How could a nobody like King Huai know such a secret? Seeing this, King Huai hesitated for a moment, then said, Then this lowly one will say it has something to do with a treasure. When King Feng left, this treasure was entrusted to this lowly one for safekeeping. I will take it out and give it to Sir. As he spoke, his source shook violently. King Huai looked reluctant, as if he could not bear to part with it. he continued, "but this lowly one also knows that the earthly sovereign is too far away from me. Even if there are benefits, I dare not take them. I only hope that Sir can grant this lowly one my wish and grant me some treasures suitable for my cultivation." His source shook even more violently. Mad Blade frowned slightly. "What is this thing? Its aura seems to be getting stronger and stronger." At this moment, King Huai's expression changed. The next moment, his body suddenly swelled up, and his face contorted as if he was in extreme pain. "Sir, this thing is too powerful." At this point, he was still deceiving Mad Blade. Mad Blade's frown deepened. "What's wrong with this guy? Is he going to self-destruct?" Mad Blade vaguely felt that something was wrong, and the next moment, he was about to dodge. At this time, an item appeared in King Huai's hand, and he hurriedly said, "Sir, I will hand this over to Sir. This is—" Mad Blade looked at the item in King Huai's hand. What was it? "The earthly sovereign's treasure," King Huai continued, throwing the item in his hand at Mad Blade. Mad Blade subconsciously reached out to catch it, but just as he was about to catch it, he suddenly realized that something was wrong. Mad Blade immediately dodged. But it was too late. At this moment, King Huai growled and his body swelled up. With a bang, his body exploded into a bloody mess, but his source energy was extremely powerful. And the item that he had thrown out earlier suddenly exploded, bursting with a blinding light. It was not a lethal weapon, just a small toy. For a powerhouse, there was not much difference between having their eyes open and closed. But at this moment, Mad Blade still found the blinding light somewhat unbearable, and he closed his eyes slightly. King Huai had been prepared all along, and everything was within his expectations. How could he delay this opportunity? Just as Mad Blade closed his eyes, King Huai held a thin sword in his hand, and in the blink of an eye, he landed on top of his head, thrusting the thin sword at his Baihui acupoint. Boom! At this moment, Mad Blade's qi and blood erupted, and with a loud boom, a pillar of qi and blood erupted above his head, almost causing King Huai to lose his footing. Break! With a low growl, King Huai also erupted with a powerful force, forcibly dispersing the pillar of qi and blood. The long sword pierced the top of his head, but soon, King Huai's expression changed slightly. Creak! An ear-piercing sound rang out. Mad Blade roared, and the top of his head exploded with dazzling colors. His skull had actually blocked the sword from piercing into his brain. Courting death! Mad Blade roared. This small fry dared to scheme against him. At this time, King Huai's sword pierced the top of his head. Even though he had blocked the long sword's penetration, his brain was still shaken, and he felt a little dizzy. Boom! A long sword quickly slashed at the top of his head, and the blade's light closed in, causing King Huai's flesh to explode again. King Huai's expression changed again. What a powerful physical body! After his surprise attack, Mad Blade had actually blocked his long sword. The strength of this skeleton was somewhat terrifying. In the next moment, King Huai gritted his teeth, and his spiritual energy erupted, turning into a thin sword that merged with his own long sword. The long sword exploded with a powerful aura, and King Huai growled again. Holding the sword with both hands, his arms exploded, and he used all his strength to stab downwards. Creak! An ear-piercing sound rang out again, and sparks flew everywhere. The flesh and blood on Mad Blade's head ruptured, revealing a shiny golden skull. At this time, King Huai's heart was filled with hatred, and the long sword in his hand exploded with a loud boom. Crack on his skull, a small crack appeared. It was very thin, and it was rapidly healing. King Huai also took the opportunity to fly backward, and the jade long sword slashed down. Mad Blade was furious, and he roared, "How dare you? Do you think you can kill me? In your dreams." He had actually been attacked by this incompetent person, and he had even been injured. Of course, it was not too serious, but a small crack in his skull was no small matter. It must be known that beginner martial artists did not have a source, and those who walked the path of the physical body walked the path of the physical body. They were strong, but they also had some flaws. Once their skull was destroyed, even if they did not die, their combat strength would be greatly reduced. Their heart would be shattered, their skull would explode, and their golden bodies would be destroyed. They would be completely dead. They were not like source martial artists, whose source was not destroyed, and they could still consume some other things to restore their golden bodies. If their golden bodies exploded, their activity would be destroyed, and they would not be able to revive. Mad Blade was furious. This person had almost shattered his skull. This was also unbelievable. True God realm? No, the power that had just erupted was far from what a true god could compare to. Damn it, he had actually hidden his strength. How did he do it? He slashed out with his sword, and King Huai quickly fled. His speed was extremely fast, tearing through the void, and in the blink of an eye, he was dozens of miles away. At this time, in a rage, Mad Blade also tore through space, and quickly rushed over. Just as he tore through space, Mad Blade's expression changed. Below, there was not the slightest sound, but there was a sword chi soaring into the sky. He had just torn through space, and there was no time to sense anything. By the time he realized it, the sword chi had already arrived. Bastard, Mad Blade was furious again. There was still someone hiding. However, the intensity of the sword chi explosion did not seem too strong. Just as he was thinking, when he swung his sword, the sword chi suddenly exploded. At this moment, the speed of the sword chi explosion was more than 3 times faster. The sword chi went straight up, piercing through his lower body. A scream was heard, and Mad Blade was in excruciating pain. The sword chi went up from below, and he was walking in the air. At this moment, one could imagine where exactly it had hit. No matter how strong the golden body was tempered, the sword chi of the divine weapon sky-crushing sword, in addition to the full force of the longevity swordsman's sword, pierced straight through the golden body. The sword chi rushed into the sky, piercing through his internal organs, and rushed out of his head. With a puff, it pierced through the skull crack that King Huai had left behind, and the sword chi rushed out of the top of his head. Below, Old Man Li's face was a little pale, but he did not say a word. He rushed into the sky again, holding the sky-crushing sword, and attacked Mad Blade. King Huai, who had just escaped, appeared again like a shadow. One from above, one from below, one from above, one from below, trying to attack Mad Blade from both sides. "Go to hell, all of you!" Mad Blade roared, and with a hum, he swung his saber. It was incredibly fast, and this saber went straight for Old Man Li. Old Man Li's expression changed, and he blocked with his longsword. With a bang, the sky-crushing sword trembled, and Old Man Li's clothes were instantly torn apart by the sword chi. His flesh and blood disappeared in the blink of an eye, and he became a skeleton, flying backward. At this time, King Huai's palm hit Mad Blade's head, but Mad Blade did not care, and swung his saber again. Bang! The palm hit the skull, and the crack in the skull became even bigger. However, the long sword slashed across, like cutting vegetables, and with a puff, both of King Huai's arms were cut off. Mad Blade's speed was extremely fast. As he swung his saber, his other hand had already thrown a punch. Kaboom! With a loud bang, King Huai's chest was pierced, and his body exploded, scattering pieces of his flesh in all directions. In the blink of an eye, the 3 of them started a fight to the death. Even though Mad Blade was injured first, his combat strength was still frighteningly strong. He sent Li Chongqing flying, and destroyed King Huai's golden body. Just as Mad Blade was about to destroy King Huai's consolidated spirit avatar, he felt a chill down his back. He did not know when, but Old Man Li had appeared again, his long sword piercing through the void, aiming for his spine. "You have a death wish!" Mad Blade roared. At this moment, his spine was like a long dragon. Before Old Man Li's shocked eyes, Mad Blade's back cracked, and his spine rolled and fluctuated. In the blink of an eye, his spine was detached from his body, turning into a long whip that lashed out. The jade-like spine tore through the void, and it hit Old Man Li's arm. His arm was broken. Old Man Li's sword-wielding right hand was broken. His expression changed, but he quickly regained his composure. His body trembled, and he dodged the second whip. In the next moment, his left hand caught the falling sky-crushing sword, and it drew a thin crack in the air. With a puff, it slashed at Mad Blade's waist, sending blood and flesh flying. In front of him was King Huai, and behind was the longevity sword. Mad Blade regained his composure. Even though he was heavily injured, he still had a plan. Ignoring the longevity sword behind him, he slashed at King Huai's spirit avatar. The Huai King quickly retreated, but Dao Quang charged straight ahead without even turning his head back, flying forward at breakneck speed. He might not lose, but he dared not stay any longer. This was the catacombs, and the Nine Saints. King Huai's ambush might have been instigated by the Nine Saints. He dared not stay here any longer. After him, Old Man Li growled, giving chase quickly. King Huai's mentality exploded, and the flesh and blood around him gathered, transforming into a human form. He gave chase, sighing helplessly in his heart. Too strong. If he ambushed a saint of origin path, his golden body might have exploded immediately. Who would have thought that Mad Blade's golden body was so strong that his first strike could not pierce through his opponent's skull? However, Mad Blade was a martial artist who had proven his path with his flesh. If his flesh was injured, his combat strength would be greatly reduced. This was a good thing. In this regard, origin path martial artists had many advantages. If a powerhouse's flesh exploded, even if their combat strength was damaged, they could still continue fighting. Mad Blade fled, and the two of them gave chase. In the center of the catacombs, very soon, the aura of three saints moved toward them. They had sensed the eruption of a great battle. Chapter 12:24. Spiritual Emperor's Bottomanda. Fong Ping walked in the air, heading straight for the passageway entrance. Seeing this, Zhang Tao said, "Aren't you going to invite Old Li? Let them fight here. We'll go out first. If that bastard Hong Yu is still fighting the weapon masters in the space battlefield, we'll go straight to the catacombs and kill the Nine Saints." Old Zhang raised his eyebrows. "How dark, even darker than me." Gong Juanzi clenched his teeth. He had met his black ancestor. This fellow actually wanted to take them out with him to kill the catacombs' Nine Saints. Fong Ping's speed was extremely fast. He continued, "Hurry up. Remember, after we get out, head straight to the catacombs. 6 saint tokens and 1 heavenly king seal are still there. Grab them if you can. The 9 sages aren't easy to kill." Zhang Tao had already begun to make suggestions. Fong Ping suddenly turned his head and growled, "Celestial Pole, do you want to go out? If you want to go out, help me deal with the 2 sages." Behind him, the Celestial Pole who was hiding in the void walked out with a stiff expression and said embarrassedly, "I'm not good at fighting." Everyone was speechless. This lunatic was forced into such a miserable state that he almost said that he didn't want to fight anymore. Thinking back, when he first came in, he fought against the heavens and the earth, daring to fight anyone. Now, he was terrified very quickly. Fong Ping did not mind. He continued to fly toward the passageway, sending a voice transmission, "Celestial Pole, are you going to continue like this? You're the only heavenly king in the Western Emperor's bloodline, right? Right now, all the branches are fighting. Don't tell me you're going to hide once you get out?" Tianji sighed, "King Du, I used to be on good terms with my father. It's a pity that I don't know if he's dead or alive." Otherwise, my Western Emperor's bloodline wouldn't be considered weak among the other bloodlines. King Dui, one of the 8 kings, was related to the Western Emperor. Unfortunately, this heavenly king seemed to have died a long time ago, and it was uncertain whether he could be revived. After saying that, Tianji continued, I just want to get out of here. We can talk about other things later. When Imperial Father returns, Imperial Father will take care of everything. Useless! Fang Ping scolded directly. Even if the emperors come out, they might not be able to do anything. If it was something that could be resolved between emperors, it wouldn't be happening now. It would have been resolved 8,000 years ago. If you can't even see through this, what am I counting on you for? Why was there such a trend now? If it wasn't for the fact that the emperor couldn't solve it, he would have waited for someone who could. Otherwise, the 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors would be entangled with one another, unable to extricate themselves and needing an external force to break them apart. Your imperial father might still be waiting for you to save him, but in the end, you're waiting for your imperial father to save you. Trash. The celestial pole could not help but growl, Fang Ping, don't go too far. Fang Ping had scolded him a few times already. Did he really think that he had a good temper? So what if I bully you? Do you think I'm afraid of you? You. Aren't you afraid that I'll join forces with the other kings? Then I'll kill you first. When the battle starts, of course I'll catch the weak and kill them first. If the weak heavenly king participates in the battle, who else will I kill if not you? These words left the celestial polarity speechless. Fang Ping continued, It'll be different if we join the humans. Heavenly kings are top-notch battle prowess, and we're all broken sick. There's no such thing as weak or weak. Heavenly Emperor Dragon Transformation is even weaker than you. If an enemy were to make a move, they might capture Dragon Transformation and kill him first. Dragon Transformation Heavenly Emperor was mentally weary. Why were these words so unpleasant to hear? Empyrean Pole was somewhat tempted, but he quickly said, This king only wishes to leave. How stubborn. You've thrown away the face of the emperor. This king only wishes to leave. Empyrean Pole repeated. Whatever you say, I just want to leave. I don't care about anything else. Fang Ping was helpless. It was very troublesome to deal with stubborn people. He thought that Empyrean Pole would be easier to fool, but this guy was unmoved. That would be troublesome. Fang Ping did not say anything else. At this moment, the passageway was already in sight. At this moment, the void behind him fluctuated. Moon Spirit appeared. Fang Ping turned his head to take a look. He frowned slightly, not saying a word. Moon Spirit had just appeared when King Qian arrived in the next moment. Fang Ping's expression changed slightly. Did he sense it? Let's buy time. Kill the catacombs 9 saint. There were no heavenly kings in the catacombs now. He wondered how Hong Yu was doing. Fang Ping went straight to the passageway. Before he arrived, the passageway had already opened. At this moment, people were rushing from all directions. Some true gods looked expectant. Some venerable emperors were also eager to try, all wanting to leave. After being trapped in this godforsaken place for a few months and suffering heavy casualties, who would not want to leave? Heavenly kings had the capital to protect themselves, but they did not. Now, Fang Ping and the others were rushing here. Everyone guessed that they were going to leave. In the fake sky grave, the opportunities were gone. The weapon masters in the space battlefield had also awakened. The battle over at the 9 Emperor Seals was also coming to an end. After a few months, they could finally leave today. Those ambitious true gods and venerable emperors were now almost beggars. Each of them was full of anticipation, but also a little nervous. When Fang Ping's gaze landed, the enemy powerhouses flew backward one after another. It was not that Fang Ping attacked them, but they were afraid that Fang Ping would attack them, so they ran away quickly. Fang Ping laughed out loud. Things were different now. When he came in that day, forget venerable emperors and saints, any true god dared to be rude to him. Now, wherever his gaze landed, even heavenly kings had to retreat. Fong Ping did not have time to care about them. He stretched out his hand and waved. The heaven-confining bell shrunk instantly and landed in his hand. Holding the heaven-confining bell, Fong Ping felt for the first time the power of a complete divine weapon. Yes, a complete divine weapon. If it was not complete, how could it block those heavenly kings? The heaven-confining bell and the sky gong were both complete divine weapons. This was the cat's divine weapon. The cat did not participate in the war back then, of course, its divine weapon was not broken. Holding the heaven-confining bell in his hand, Fong Ping clearly felt one thing. Amplification. Yes, when he used the god-slaying saber, he could only feel its sharpness now. There was no sense of amplification. There was some before, but as his strength grew, it was no longer obvious. Now it was completely different. He felt that the heaven-confining bell could give him an amplification. However, the heaven-confining bell was not a main divine weapon. It was mainly used to trap people like a cover to cover people. Fong Ping was familiar with this. Back then, his house of gold was used to trap people. Now that the house of gold was integrated into the source world, it was the same to use the heaven-confining bell. The effect was better. "Let's go!" Fong Ping shouted and stepped out of the passageway instantly. Zhang Tao and the others followed, all of them looking happy. They went out not as losers, but as victors. The moment Fong Ping and the others went out, in the space battlefield, Fong Ping's guess was right. Hong Yu had indeed come into contact with the weapon master. However, Hong Yu did not have time to convince the weapon master. His expression changed slightly. The next moment, he growled, Go out? Weapon master, think about it yourself. I'm leaving first. If I don't leave now, or something bad will happen." He was in a hurry. Fong Ping and the others left. He knew how black-hearted Fong Ping was. Now that he had gone out with a few heavenly king powerhouses, he would not believe that Fong Ping would return to the human world. Hong Yu left quickly, bringing the two kings with him. As soon as they left, the weapon master appeared, frowning. "Earthly sovereign, Hong Yu." The weapon master looked conflicted. After 8,000 years of slumber, the three realms were completely different now that he had woken up. "I should go out for a walk. I'll make a decision after I walk around." As soon as he finished speaking, the weapon master's aura exploded. In the Spirit Emperor Dojo, a gust of energy swept over and was devoured by the space battlefield. At this moment, the space battlefield was also shaking. He was about to officially start his recovery. At this moment, in the Source universe, an incomparably huge star slowly exploded with light. In the next moment, a huge hand that covered the sky came crashing down on the space battlefield. Humph! The weapon master's body began to materialize. Seeing this, he did not care. With a cold snort, the void trembled. In the next moment, the huge hand that covered the sky exploded with dazzling light. With a rumble, it was shattered by the sound waves. The weapon master said coldly, "Since I dare to revive in front of you, I'm not afraid of you causing trouble." At this moment, another huge hand attacked. The weapon master smiled faintly. "Li Zhen, do you want to test me too? I'll fulfill your wish." As soon as he finished speaking, a roar reverberated in the Source universe. Return of the Heavenly Spear. At this moment, in the Source universe, a floating black spear buzzed and penetrated the Source universe. With a burst of dazzling light, it headed straight for the huge star that the weapon master was reviving on. Return of the Heavenly Spear, return of the weapon master. 8 kings, 36 saints, millions of heavenly court's divine army, control the heavenly court again. A roar reverberated in all directions. The roar resounded in the Source universe and the real world. In the next moment, a spear appeared in the real world from the Source universe. The heavenly king subduing's huge hand had just descended when the spear shot out. With a rumble, the spear pierced through the huge hand. Ah! The heavenly king subduing laughed. Not bad. Looks like you've gained something from the battle 8,000 years ago. 8,000 years ago, I killed a supreme expert, but I've yet to become an emperor. The weapon master's golden body quickly began to materialize. With a spear in hand, he stood proudly in the void. Looking around, he shouted coldly, "Tian Kuei, see suppressing, stop fighting. The 9 Emperor seals are not for you to control." As soon as he finished speaking, a spear pierced through the air. In the next moment, the expressions of Tian Kuei and the others who were fighting changed. The spear fell from the sky. The sea-suppressing emissary's eyes were cold. In front of him, a mirror instantly flew up. Rumble! With another loud roar, the saints bled from their orifices and almost fell out of the void. In the next moment, the weapon master stepped forward. Behind him, the space battlefield began to collapse. Black cracks began to devour heaven and earth, sweeping toward them. The weapon master took a step forward, and his back was swallowed by the darkness. The weapon master's physical body became more and more corporeal. This kind-looking old man was now extremely cold. He shouted softly, "Sea-suppressing, you dare to disobey me?" The sea-suppressing emissary sneered. "So what if I've broken 8? Am I not one? Weapon master, you control your weapon, but I'm not your weapon. You're not qualified to order me around. Jean Luan, weapon master, take over the 3 realms. You dare to disobey the heavenly court's decree?" The sea-suppressing emissary instantly transformed into a rock. It was incomparably huge, covering the heavens and the earth. In a cold voice, he said, "The heavenly court has long been destroyed. Even if it's not, I don't care. Weapon master, don't you dare provoke me. Otherwise, I'll fight you to my heart's content today." He had had enough of these people holding him back. All of them thought that he was a pushover. The heavenly king subduing, Fang Ping, King Kuan, Tian Kuei, they all thought that he did not dare to fight with his life on the line. Why didn't they think about what these people were like when he was fighting against the Beast Emperor? At this moment, the rock was boundlessly ferocious. The gigantic golden rock exuded an extremely dense killing intent. He had battled beginner martial, sovereign realm, and suppressed the sea of misery. Not just anyone could make him submit. Who did the weapon master think he was? "Weapon master, do you want to try?" The weapon master looked at him, and the golden rock's huge eyes stared back at him. They were tens of thousands of miles apart, but the void was collapsing from the pressure. At this moment, Heavenly King Subduing laughed loudly. "Weapon master, why make life difficult for the rock? If you ask me, you should get rid of Li Zhu. That guy suppressed the palm seal. No matter how bad you 3 emissaries are, it's still the heavenly court's honor. Now that Li Zhu suppressed the palm seal, it's a slap to the heavenly court's face. You won't just watch as the palm seal is suppressed, will you?" The weapon master frowned and looked at the sea-suppressing emissary again. In the next moment, he snorted softly and threw his spear out, piercing through layers of heaven and earth. A sovereign's aura exploded from the heavenly spear. This aura guided the heavenly spear through the air. After tearing through countless layers of heaven, a figure appeared in the darkness. Li Zhu opened his eyes instantly, his expression cold. He slapped his palm, causing the spear to tremble. Li Zhu's body shook slightly. With a cold snort, he tore through the void and disappeared again. The heavenly spear, the 1,000 realms cauldron, and the sea-calming sky mirror. These 3 weapons were not forged by the 3 of them. Instead, they were bestowed by the 9 emperors. They were somewhat related. The heavenly spear found the 1,000 realms cauldron's aura. In the fake sky grave, chaos reappeared. However, this time, the passageway was already open. It was no longer limited to this small place like before. At this moment, on the other side of the passageway, the moment Fong Ping and the others left, Sky Pole, Moon Spirit, and King Qian all rushed out of the passageway. Just as the others were about to rush out, King Zhen, who was hiding somewhere to heal his injuries, also tore through the void and appeared, disappearing at the entrance of the passageway. Immediately after, Tian Kuei hurried away with the 4 sages. The sea-suppressing emissary was temporarily held back by the weapon master. He did not hesitate and immediately led his people away. One by one, the heavenly kings arrived and left. The fake sky grave that had trapped them for months finally opened today. Outside the fake sky grave, holding the heaven-confining bell, Fong Ping did not care about the others. As soon as he came out, he punched through the void and a huge passageway appeared. The rest of you return to Earth. Old Zhang, let's go to the catacombs. Fong Ping crossed the void and traveled thousands of miles in an instant. The passageway here was not broken. On the other side, Old Zhang punched out and also punched a passageway. His speed was extremely fast. They wanted to kill the catacombs' 9 sages before the others arrived. Seeing their tacit cooperation, Dragon Transformation did not hesitate either. It instantly transformed into its dragon form and swept its tail across the second passageway. A passageway appeared. The 3 heavenly king powerhouses rushed with all their might. Their speed could not be any faster. As they rushed, Old Zhang, who had powerful mentality, turned back and said, "There seems to be heavenly king powerhouses fighting in the depths of the sea. Ignore them." Fong Ping did not care about that. No matter who was fighting, it had nothing to do with him. Just as he was thinking that it had nothing to do with him, a voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Outside the fake sky grave, communication seemed to be easier. In the next moment, Old Cat transmitted his voice. "Liar, liar. Are you going to save them? Ling Imperial family's little Z-er is surrounded. It seems like she can't beat them." Z-er. Fong Ping frowned suddenly. Spirit Emperor's niece? He was not familiar with her, but Spirit Emperor's lineage and Old Cat had a good relationship. "You inform her yourself. Let her evacuate in the direction of the catacombs. I want to take the opportunity to kill a few sages. At the very least, I want to seize the sage token and heavenly king seal. I can't make it there now." He did not dare to rush there rashly. King Qian and the others had also come out. He had the intention to kill the other party's powerhouses. They might also have the same intention. There were also sage powerhouses on the human side. Heavenly Wood was still in the human world. Old Cat was also there. Fong Ping had to guard against these. All right then, Old Cat did not say anything else. He must have continued to roam the origin to inform Z-er. Fong Ping did not care anymore. He continued to hurry on his way. Passageways appeared one after another on the forbidden sea. In the sea, countless demons sensed the aura and fled one after another. At Ming Ting's closed-door cultivation. At this moment Ming Ting was shocked. In the next moment, a passageway ran directly through the sky, passing over his head. Fong Ping crossed the passageway, grabbing downward with one hand, shouting, "Go to Earth with the humans. Chaos is coming. Even the heavenly kings have appeared. There's no place for you in the Forbidden Sea." Ming Ting did not even have the strength to resist. He was grabbed by Fong Ping and thrown into the group of people behind him. Ming Ting's expression changed drastically. So powerful. In any case, he had advanced to Venerable Emperor, but in the face of Fong Ping, he could not fight back at all. He was caught by Fong Ping with one hand, and it was difficult for him to break free. Fong Ping and the others had come out. Ming Ting instantly understood. The era of the Heavenly Kings had begun. The Heavenly King stage powerhouse that he had just caught a glimpse of would soon become the main force of the 3 realms, the hegemon of the 3 realms. The power structure of the 3 realms would change once more. Behind him, tens of thousands of miles away, Hong Yu's voice rang out. "Fong Ping, what are you trying to do? None of your business." You want to start another battle of heavenly kings? Didn't you say that the fake heavenly court wasn't built by you? How could there be a battle between heavenly kings? Ridiculous. Fong Ping did not even turn his head. He was extremely fast. It might be difficult to kill a few sages, but the sage token and the heavenly king seal still had to be obtained. Right at this moment, a ray of sword energy erupted ahead. Fong Ping's pupils changed slightly. Old Manly, tens of thousands of miles away from Fong Ping and the others, above the sea region. Old Manly could not care less about hiding his identity now. In reality, at this stage of the battle, how could he still hide? Previously, everyone had thought of ambushing and killing Frenzied Blade quickly, but now, Frenzied Blade had not been killed instantly. Instead, he had fled all the way to the Forbidden Sea. At this moment, King Huai was also extremely nervous. He chased after Frenzied Blade quickly, his expression fluctuating. I'm afraid this guy is going to meet up with the people from the Chua clan. There are still 3 sages behind him. D*Eminent, didn't you say that you could kill him with 1 slash? If I don't kill him and leave this place now, I won't be able to hide my identity anymore. He still wanted to keep a low profile and trick people. Right now, they were extremely far away. The 3 sages behind him had probably not sensed his specific chi and might not know who he was. However, if this went on, if Frenzied Blade did not die, everyone would know that he was King Huai. Old Manly cursed under his breath. Didn't you say that you could hold him back? What happened in the end? Useless. Who are you calling useless? You. Old Manly was also exasperated. He had just risen to Emperor level not long ago. If not for the fact that Frenzied Blade was heavily injured and unwilling to fight for a long time, he would not have chased after him. The ambush this time could be considered a failure. Right now, his only thought was to kill Frenzied Blade while he was injured. That way, the Chua clan would have 1 less sage. Even if he could not kill Frenzied Blade, he had to make Frenzied Blade powerless to fight. Otherwise, if the people from the Chua clan reached Earth, they would be in big trouble. King Huai's expression kept changing. He let out a low roar and tore through the void. Chase after him. You're too slow. Old Manly did not waste any words. King Huai was still useful. If King Huai had not torn through the void, he would not have been able to catch up to Frenzied Blade. King Huai was not weak now. He tore through the void and traveled extremely quickly. The 3 of them rushed forward, 1 in front and 1 behind. In front, Frenzied Blade held the token and quickly sent a telepathic message to his companions to help. At this moment, he thought that the 3 sages behind him were also here to kill him. How could he dare to stop? The news from his companions made him breathe a sigh of relief. The Saint Martial Continent's reinforcements were already in front of him. All of them had Saint-level combat strength. There were 4 of them. They were also the core strength of the Saint Martial Continent. This time, in order to kill Tsang Mao, they had made ample preparations. At this moment, powerhouses were everywhere on the Forbidden Sea. Because of the seawater, those with weaker mentality might not be able to sense anything. Only those with strong mentality, or in the area where a great battle had broken out, with energy turbulence, could sense something. At this moment, behind Fong Ping and the others, Hong Yu and the others were catching up. Behind them, a wave swept through the void. Although it could not be transmitted, the powerhouses could sense the spatial fluctuations. There were heavenly kings fighting in the depths of the bitter sea and moving toward them. In front of Fong Ping saw the shocking sword chi. Although he could not sense its specific chi, he knew it was Old Manly. He might have already clashed with the Chua clan. Fong Ping's speed increased. His vitality was constantly recovering to its peak state. He tore through the void and chased forward. In the area between him and Old Manly, 4 powerhouses were also hurrying through the void. Powerhouses from the Saint Martial Continent. Quick, Mad Blade is injured. Hurry up. The leading powerhouse had a jade-like golden body. He shouted loudly, tore through the void, and kept rushing forward. Chaos. As soon as Fong Ping and the others came out, the situation became extremely chaotic. They were all hurrying on their way. Some, however, were taking their time. At this moment, at the passageway of the fake heavenly grave, the chaotic heavenly king was a little dispirited. He did not gain anything this time. He did not know how many battles he had gone in for. But soon, the chaotic heavenly king's eyes moved, and he looked behind him. That crazy woman was surrounded and killed? Achur? The chaotic heavenly king was instantly interested. He was going to watch the show. That crazy woman had been following him for a long time last time. He was very annoyed. Now she was surrounded and killed. He was gloating. The chaotic heavenly king was very happy. He did not care about Fong Ping and the others anymore and hurried over there. Watch the show, watch the show. Powerhouses from all directions were now moving toward the catacombs. They were converging in one direction. The heavenly kings appeared one after another, breaking the peace once again. In reality, the three realms had never been peaceful. The heavenly kings' deaths yesterday were still fresh in their minds. At this moment, Mad Blade was the first to converge with the Chu clan's reinforcements. 4 Saint-level powerhouses, including Mad Blade, made a total of 5 Saint-level powerhouses. This was the entire Chu clan's heritage, a heritage that had been accumulated for tens of thousands of years. In order to kill Tsang Mao, they had almost turned out in full force. Even their god, the Saint Martial God, had personally come to deal with Z-Air. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.